This is the Game On Stanley Cup Playoff Watch Along Game 4 Rangers Penguins on the Empty the Bench Podcast Network presented by Knack. Now, here's Johnny Montalbano and Hank Indictor.
And happy Monday, everybody, and welcome on into a special edition of Game On. It's a Game On watch-along as we get you ready for Game 4 of the Stanley Cup playoffs between the Rangers and Penguins. Johnny Montalbano, Hank Indictor with you as we get you set for Game 4 here, a pivotal Game 4. And you know, when we launched Game On a couple of months ago, I said that I wanted to throw in some surprises along the way, and well, this is one of them here as we get you for a little watch-along here for the Rangers and Penguins, a critical Game 4 in this series here on the Empty the Bench Podcast Network presented by Knack. Hank, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, ready for Game 4. Very nervous as hell because this is absolutely a must-win for the Rangers, but of course, I'm ready to go, and
Rally towel, I love it. Absolutely, yeah. This, this is something that we've had in the works for a little while here. I like that. That's very nice.
This was the Game 2 rally towel.
And hey, you know what? It worked because they bounced back in Game 2, and now we'll see if they can bounce back here again in Game 4. It's face-off probably about 15, 20 minutes away or so. So we'll have we'll do a little Game On discussion here about this series leading you in, and then we will talk about this. And then during the intermissions, we have Nick Morganson behind the scenes, and he's going to come on in between the intermissions here, and we'll incorporate some other sports talk into the course of the conversation as well. Folks, plenty of ways, though, if you want to interact with us during the game and throughout the intermissions, you can follow us on Twitter at GameOnETB. Game On ETB on Twitter, Facebook.com/Game On ETB. We're also on Instagram at GameOn_ETB. And you can also get our personal accounts, as you can see there on the bottom of your screen. So, Hank, spending a couple of seconds here, and we'll obviously talk about the whole series in general on episode 9 of Game On tomorrow. But as we enter Game 4 here, at least for me, there's two things I'm going to be looking at from the Rangers' perspective here. And when we were previewing this series, there were two things from the Rangers side that I was a little worried about, and that was going to be their defense in front of Igor, which you've seen have some problems, and the experience factor. And what I mean by that is, you know, the Penguins are the more experienced team. I mean, they've been in the playoffs pretty much every year for the last 16 years. And the Rangers, most of their guys this is their first time going through it. Mm-hmm. And you've seen that so far. So what I'm looking at from the Rangers side, I'm looking for them to obviously get off to a fast start and hopefully take the pressure off of Igor a little bit, because he's had to really, 79 saves in Game 1, getting pulled in Game 3, a game that if it was a regular season game, he probably would not have started with all the time that he's had. So I'm looking at the Rangers to try and get off to a fast start here. I'm looking for the defense to give Igor a little bit of a break, and also to see if their veteran players can, lead the way here a little bit.
Yeah, I would say Mika Zibanejad is one player in particular who really needs to get it going. He has yet to score a goal in that series, and I think if he gets going, that'll be something that's huge. And let's get some more production from Panarin, too. I mean, I know he had that good game in Game 2 of the series, but him, Kreider, and Mika are the three guys that I think you really have to keep your eye on in this series. And I think these are the guys that can get things going. I also want to see the team as a whole just testing Domingue early and often, because at the end of the day, let's remember, this guy is a backup goalie for a reason. And, if you test him, or even if Jari starts, like, the shots are going to go in, is really the entire point that I'm trying to make. And yeah, like you said, I think the defense is definitely going to be one of the other things that's going to come down to. I think you can blame Igor all you want for some of the goals, but I think if they had played better in front of him, and probably would have been looking at a different first period. And also the other thing I'm hoping for, stay out of the box. There have been way too many penalties. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying a lot of the penalty calls have been great, because there have been some that, like, you can tell the refs have really had that have given an edge to Pittsburgh. But at the same time, if you really look at a lot of them, it makes sense that they're the correct calls. And one of the big reasons that the Penguins won that game last night was because they won this battle of the special teams. And, it's often been said that special teams can swing games. And if you have a really good power play, that can help. And that brings me to my next segue, which is the Rangers power play. It was pretty good at the beginning of the series, but in game 3, it went 0 for 3. And any one goal goes differently, I think we're talking about a whole different series.
Yeah, that's definitely a good way of looking at it. Special teams, usually with the Rangers, their power play has always been called into question, but not this postseason, or not even early for this season. It's just been the fact they haven't been able to get many. I think for the most part, the officials are letting them play. There have been a couple of questionable calls for sure, but yeah, Hank, you brought it up, and I've been bringing it up when we're talking about the series, about the goaltending situation, and it's not like Louis Domingue has been, dominant. I mean, he gave up 4 goals in game 2, and game 3. In game 2, he gave up 5. So, the goaltending situation here, I still think advantage Rangers, even though if you looked at Igor getting pulled in the first period, and again, I think if this was a regular season game, we would not have even seen Igor in game 3, but this is kind of a little bit of uncharted territory for him. And that goes back to what I was talking about with the experience factor. But yeah, no, it's the young players for the Rangers actually have been playing very well in this series. But like you said, now you want your veteran players, like a Panarin, a Strome, even a Zibanejad, to get you going as well. So the Rangers actually 2 out of the first 3 games have scored first. You always look for that first goal and then to tack on. The Penguins did it obviously in game 3 on Saturday night. So we will we'll find out what happens here, as we're about 12 minutes away from the start of game number 4. You look throughout the playoffs so far, and it's been a wild run. The other game that's going to get started at the same time as the Rangers and the Pens is over there in Florida between the Capitals and the Panthers. And boy, it just goes to show you, look at the Capitals up 2-1. If we were doing a full playoff preview before, Hank, I would have told you this is one series I'd be looking at as, one to watch for an upset, because, this is another experience thing. The Capitals have been there before, and, they're up 2-1. Florida did bounce back, but you've got that. You've got, the Bruins and the Hurricanes tied at 2. You've got some other great series along the way. So, yeah, it should be very, very interesting as I'm watching Sid Crosby right now. He's got a goal and 5 assists in the series, and it just goes along the way of what I was saying before. We had spoken with Brian Attard last week about, trying to contain Crosby, Malkin, and Letang, and even Gensel. And those 4 guys have also made a big impact in this series. Just come back to this series for a second.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. And I think the one guy that we said was an X factor in the series, we all agreed it was Jake Gensel. He's not obviously the first guy you think of when you think of the Penguins, because obviously that's the longtime dynamic duo of Crosby and Malkin. But Gensel is a great player in his own way. He's a 40-goal scorer. He was a key member of 2 of their Cup winners, and he has had a great series thus far for the Penguins. And he's somebody you really have to watch for, and I think we've so far been proven right about him.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are just about 10 minutes away. So just looking at this as well, a couple of other things that I'm looking for here. This is, I feel like what the Rangers are missing right now also is, this would be kind of series that you look at it like a John Tortorella style where you're blocking shots in front. We talked about how Shesterkin's had to make save after save here. and this you almost would like a John Tortorella style, where you're blocking shots blocking shots. That would be something to watch.
Yeah, I would agree, especially when you consider what happened in Game 3, 7-4 game. And look, this was one of those games that really bothered me because really, when it comes down to it with the Rangers, to me, it never really felt like the Pens were necessarily the better team. And that's not me trying to disrespect them in any way, shape, or form. I think the thing was the Rangers have been making a lot of bad mistakes, and it's those mistakes that led to where we are right now.
Yeah. Louis Domingue is officially in goal again for the Penguins. You know, they were talking about Tristan Jarry possibly being back for Game 3, but it's still going to be Louis Domingue. And I guess, at this point, Domingue's only got a .903 save percentage. So like I'm saying, it's not like, he's really outplaying Igor. And that's why, like, I look at it right now, 2-1. And while this is a must win for the Rangers tonight, I'm still not really panicking all that much because now, of course, if the Penguins win tonight and it's 3-1, that's going to be a very, very tall order. I don't see the Rangers coming back in 3, but I mean, I'm looking at this and it's not like, they're losing to a third string goaltender who's making dynamite saves. I mean, he gave up a lot of, some soft goals and some goals that, you're 4-1 in your own building. I mean, you don't expect to come back that quick, but that also speaks volumes to how the Rangers have overcome, adversity this season.
No quit in New York. That's been their phrase all season long. And, one thing that's important to remember, the Rangers have done absolutely well after a loss. So they're never really down for too long. So that's why I'm really not too worried about their chances going forward. In fact, they haven't entered a stretch where they've had too many losing streaks. So I feel pretty good about their chances. I think this is a well-coached team. They have a much better mindset than they've had in years past. So I think they'll definitely be fine this game. But yeah, like you said, I don't think 3-1 is really insurmountable, but do you really want to face that hole going through the next few games? I don't think so.
I wouldn't be, and like you brought up the them coming back. They are 28-3, coming off a loss this season. So 20 wins following a loss, which included their Game 2 win at the Garden last week. So it's going to be something. I watching it with you here maybe takes away the pressure a little bit, but. Like we've said, I'm looking for the veteran players. Maybe this will be the kind of the night that that Mika gets on the board, because I think that's what you're looking at here. You're actually looking at some of these veteran guys to really like step in, and that's where that experience factor comes in. Kreider as well. Kreider's had a couple of goals in this, has had some points in this series as well. So, our final thoughts here, our mindset as this game starts in just a couple of minutes. It's a game the Rangers have to win because you don't want to face 3-1, and I don't think they're going to come back from a 3-1 deficit. But at the same time, I've seen enough things where I actually feel still pretty comfortable about the Rangers entering this game tonight.
Yeah, I agree, and I think definitely one of the things that helped was coming back from 4-1, and that was a period where it just looked like they were absolutely dominated. Now, granted. Obviously, there were some questionable calls in the first period. And look, I'm not one of those, screw the refs. The refs cost us this game, because believe me, they didn't. The Rangers absolutely looked sloppy. But at the same time, credit to them. They were able to bounce back. They had a chance to win that game too. Unfortunately, it didn't go in their favor. And I'd like to think maybe after getting benched from that first period, this is a wake-up call for Igor, and maybe this is where he has his signature playoff moment that we used to see a lot with Henrik during all those years. Now, obviously, I'm hoping we get something greater with Igor, but obviously that will probably happen down the line. Who knows? But at the same time, I think this is – what I'm trying to say is I think this is his chance to shine, and I think that's what he'll do.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he's going to win the Vezina this year, and – like you said, I think he does bounce back in a good way. I think, the Rangers are a 1.5 favorite tonight. If we want to look at the betting angle from all this, and also just our prediction here before the game starts. Rangers are a 1.5 favorite, and usually don't see the road team being favored, especially in a game 4. Also, when you're down 2-1, trailing the series, entering game 4 on the road. But I think that also speaks to the Rangers' ability to bounce back off losses, like we said. 20 wins this season following a loss. And I think the Rangers do bounce back tonight. I think they win this game, 4-2, something along those lines. Maybe they get an empty net goal late to get that 2-goal win. So I think the Rangers do bounce back here, win 4-2, and make it now an epic best of 3, heading back to the Garden for Game 5, which would be on Wednesday night, Hank.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's another good part about tying it, because then you get the momentum back, and then you win today. You go back to what will essentially be a rock concert in New York. I know I'll be there, and I cannot wait for that. It'll be hopping, and can't wait to hopefully be waving another one of these bad boys. And let me just show it off again for you right here. Yep. Oh wait, sorry, it's upside down. Can't do that.
There you go. Yep. They were down and out. And yeah, if it's tied 2-2 going back to the Garden, and you're still starting Domingue in net on Pittsburgh's side of things, I mean, that's ultimately why I said before the series that I had the Rangers winning in 5, because I just think the goaltending situation also has been, a benefit to the Rangers, because this is a guy, Louis Domingue, who has been on, I think, what is it, like he's 30 and he's been on 4 teams as like a journeyman goaltender, is like more of a backup guy. So he's never really had this presence before. I mean, if you remember Game 1 in that 3 overtime crazy affair, I mean, he came in the middle of the second overtime. So, and it wasn't like he was really tested. I mean, I know he faced 16 shots in Game 1, but those weren't really, shots that were, shots that he had a tough time saving or anything. They were almost like, they were kind of, I won't want to say easy shots, but shots that were favorable. And then you saw in Game 2, he gives up those 4 or 5 goals. And then even, when you're up 4-1 in Game 3, you give up 3 in the second period, and they tied right back up. And I know he made a couple of good saves there when the Rangers actually had a chance to take the lead in the third period of Game 3. But it's kind of uncharted territory. And if he goes out, then you're down your 4th string guy. We still don't know really what the situation is with Jerry, and obviously DeSmith, who was the original backup, had core muscle surgery, so he's out the entire Stanley Cup playoffs. But yeah, so you almost can make the sense here, Hank, when you look at it. And we picked this game, and this really could be the series for either team tonight. That's what makes this one even more special.
Is it just me, or does it always feel like it's the road, or it's the even games in a series that always feel like the ones that like are swing games, the ones that change all the momentum?
Yeah, for the most part, they do. And I feel like that in hockey could be the case, because if you get a hot goaltender, that could be the case. I mean, if somehow Domingue was making only giving up a goal or 2 a game, it could be a situation where the Penguins ride with it and make a deep run. But I mean, he only has a .903 save percentage through the first 2+ games that he's played in this series. So you have the local feed up there, right? The MSG guys up in New York.
Oh, I'm watching it on my laptop. I don't have a TV in my room, but I'm using my ESPN Plus app.
Okay, yeah, because I've had the national guys down here. I've had ESPN for Game 1 and then TNT for 2 and 3, and I have to say that the national guys, this is the first time for ESPN since I think it was 2004, and I think they've all done very well. And I think the TNT guys obviously have done great as well. So from a national perspective, it's been actually a joy to listen to. I'm watching them in the 3 overtime game. Sean McDonough was doing the Game 1 for ESPN, and he was like a natural, fitting right in. I think both national broadcasts have done very well in their first test. Obviously, we said for ESPN almost 20 years, and TNT, Turner Sports, getting it for the first time too. So, just about a couple of minutes away, the Rangers and the Penguins have both taken the ice, as we are just about set to go here with a game number 4.
Can't wait.
See if we get a little volume here and get going. So they're just showing Domingue, 2-1, goals against average of 4.03. Your sound is a lot better than mine, so you know what? I'm going to have you keep yours up if you want.
I'm going to put it at medium so that way you can still hear us talking.
Absolutely. Yeah, that sounds a lot better than out of my room. I mean, it sounds great, but when you get it through the computer here, it'll be a little different. So here we go, Rangers Penguins game 4. We're glad to have you along with us, folks, as you watch it on your TV or whatever device you are, and you have us here. And game 4 officially is underway.
Win the best of. Quite simply, the best goaltender in the National Hockey League during this season, and now on the road, carrying potentially the weight of evening up this playoff series on his shoulders. And Ray Ferraro, as we take a look across the top of our screen at our starting lineups, brought to you by Crypto.com. What do you think Gerard Gallant is looking to see, at least in these first few moments, after giving up 4?
All right, get an icing.
I might be a couple of seconds ahead of you, so you just have to.
Oh boy.
Oh, so yeah, that'll be something. So you might hear. Well, I will try and be as safe as possible here. I mean, obviously, if the Rangers score, you might hear it from me, but I will try and keep.
That's okay.
If the Penguins here get a quick one, but yeah, these opening couple of minutes usually they have you have an over under and all these sports with all the gambling and stuff is definitely something, but the over under on goals tonight was 6.
Come on.
I had it right at 6.
Come on, shoot it. Oh. All right, shoot it, Panarin.
Play.
That was a glove save by Domingue.
And that was Panarin right there with that shot.
Yep.
So about 90 seconds into this one, Gerard Gallant 19-16 with the Golden Knights and the Panthers in the playoffs.
Yeah,
well, I'm sorry, Hank. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say he's been around the block in these playoff games. He's led the expansion nights to the finals. Hopefully, we get some success with the Rangers as they get ready for a face-off.
Yeah, you and I had spoken about this last week on episode 8 of Game On, how, the manager or the head coach, different administrations in New York sports can make a difference. And you've seen that, I think, with Gallant here with the Rangers. I mean, we've spoken about that with Showalter and the Mets. And, even last year, in Thibodeau with the Knicks, I think, that it made a difference as well. So, I think you're going to see with the Giants in a couple of years with Joe Shane and
Dable.
Yeah, I think you definitely are going to see that, and we'll get into some other sports topics as the Rangers just score.
Let's go!
That's Lafreniere at 2:06, and there's the fast start that we were just talking about. Is Alexei Lafreniere 2:06 in, and Domingue did not see that one at all, and that's what we've been talking about with the. Yeah, let's take a look at this replay here.
Whoa!
Oh, nice shot there from Lafreniere, and Domingue.
All right,
out there and could not get it. So 2:06 in, just like that. The Rangers off to a fast start, and like I said, that's just what they needed.
Loft has been great.
First career playoff goal for number 13.
Loft's been great, and as cliched as this may sound, the kids are all right.
Yeah, that's what we've been saying.
Youngest Ranger with the playoff points since Stephen Rice in 1991. That's a little Hank fun fact for you right there.
I was going to say, there's the Hank fun fact right there.
Okay, to be fair, I was reading it a little bit off the stream, but still, pretty cool.
Hank fun fact credited with, hat tip to whoever, absolutely. So
I'm going to be pointing a lot of those out over the course of the game, just like I often do. It's all in good fun.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So there's the fast start, and there's the young kids once again producing. So now we'll see if what they could do off this. You'd love them to get a second one here real quick, too. I mean, that would be awesome.
That would be nice.
In game one, when they were up 2-0, it still almost felt like, it was early on in the game, and it was a 2-goal lead. And, we always have talked about that dreaded 2-goal lead.
Oh, I know, right?
And look at the Penguins' case; it was a 3-goal one, so you can never feel too comfortable. And a lot of teams in the past, as Luger takes a shot right there, stopped by Igor. Ranger teams in the past, I think, Hank, would have been comfortable up 1 or 2 and just play defense.
Yeah, that sounds like the Tortorella Rangers, like as in the black and blue shirts of the 2011-2012 squad.
Yeah. Now, of course, you'd almost want that in terms of the blocking shots angle to at least give Igor a little bit of a break. But
yep, as they take the face off.
So Sidney Crosby, Jake Gensel, and Brian and Russ have 46% of the goals in this series, and during the regular season, they scored 35% of the goals for the Penguins. That's another reason why, again, I've spoken about the experience factor, but I think the Rangers are deeper in that regard, and we've seen it even in this series. For Toronto, who they brought over from the Panthers at the deadline, has been brought in as a third or fourth line guy. He's scored some goals and including in the playoffs as well. So the Rangers, I think, are deeper in that regard, but it's worked out so far. So a little bit of a nice breather here as the Rangers off to a fast start.
Love to see it. Let's keep this momentum going. And we get the face-off.
So 16 straight playoff appearances for the Penguins. It's the longest active streak in pro sports.
I know, it's crazy because I remember when they were up for sale and they almost practically folded. And now look where they are.
And Brian Attard, who we had from the Blue Truth and the Sports Box on episode 8 last Tuesday, had said that he felt like this one was just being piecemealed together, last licks possibly, because Malkin's a free agent at the end of the season, I believe. So they're getting up there in years, Crosby and Malkin. Yeah, and it's weird because I've spoken about Ovechkin and how it looks like he hasn't slowed down at all at age 37, right?
Dude has gray hair and he's scoring 50 goals. It's crazy.
Yeah, as Igor makes a stop there. I mean, he hasn't missed a beat at all now. I know towards the end of the season he was dealing with a little bit of a lower body issue, but yeah, it's quite wild because the debate that's going to happen. Who was the better player, Crosby or Ovechkin?
Ring-wise, you would probably say Crosby, but over the course of the career, as far as who was the best goal scorer, it's Ovechkin by far.
Now, granted, Crosby had that concussion, which cost him almost 2 years.
I know, and that's what makes it so remarkable, the career of Crosby. As much as I hate to say it, because he's one of my least favorites. Gotta give him credit where credit is due.
Definitely have to.
Hold on a second. Let me get my charger here. My computer is only at Andy Pettit percent. 46.
Here come the Rangers again, and stop there by Domingue.
Keep it in. You got a TV above where you are, Johnny?
I do. You want me to put a little volume up here?
Yeah, get a little bit. I don't want it to get too loud because I don't want any random company suing us,
Yep. Well, until I'm told that I'm not allowed to do this. Both teams with 4 shots each in the first 5 minutes of this game. Panthers and Capitals also underway. They started around the same time as the Capitals look to go up 3-1 in that series. You know, I was going to talk before this one started. You know, that's another thing. You look at experience too, and the Capitals have been there pretty much the same core group of guys there: Ovechkin, Wilson. Rangers looking for another one there, and stopped by Domingue.
Dang it.
Where are you at? It's like, tell me what time you have up there in the top left part right now, just so I know how far.
I'm at about 13:54.
All right, so I'm about 4 or 5 seconds ahead of you, which would explain why
because as you said, I'm using ESPN Plus. You have this. You straight up have your own cable station.
Right? So. Yeah, I have a TV. So
and since I literally just moved into a new house, we don't have cable. We're just relying on the ESPN Plus and TBS and TNT and whatnot.
Yeah, if you actually, this is the first time that this Game On crowd has noticed that you've got a new studio. I know you were talking about it, but
I actually now live in Stamford, Connecticut, but I didn't really correct you when I said New York because I still consider New York my home. And from where I am, I'm literally only like a few exits away from New York. Stamford's like pretty much right on the border. So if we're talking about like, say, New Haven, like in that sort of area, that's what I think of as like the deeper part of Connecticut. But like, I consider myself to be like right in the part where like we're still this close to New York, if you know what I'm saying.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, look.
And if you've been to Stanford before, you might know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. And I will say that I always consider New York my home. I mean, I've been now here in South Carolina for about 7 years and 4 months, and I still have NY on my Twitter handle.
Oh, of course.
That'll never change. Like they say, you know, you can leave from New York, but some things you can't. You know, you can take the New York out of me, but some things from New York I cannot get rid of. Like this New York accent will always be here. The handle, because I always consider my home, and you know I still root for all the New York teams. I was telling you also that there's a restaurant a couple of minutes away from where I live that's called Blitzburg.
Oh,
so gosh. Yes, so they and the funny thing is I'm going to be there tomorrow night after we do the show, and that would have been something if the Rangers were playing tomorrow night, and I would have gone there in my Ranger gear. I might have been kicked out, but. But yeah, no. So there is a restaurant called Blitzburg
that would be like if you were going to like say Professor Tom's in Boston or in New York back when that was still a thing, and you're wearing all your Yankee gear because that was like a Red Sox fan bar.
In New York?
Yeah, no. There were Red Sox. Well, there might still be some Red Sox fans bars in New York, but it just goes to show you how big that fan base is.
Oh, and I think that was Russ that had a good shot there, and he missed wide.
But in any event, I'm actually not from the city, by the way, just to clear things up. I'm from a town called Chappaqua, which is in Westchester County. It's kind of a small town. I've pretty much lived there almost my entire life, other than the years that I was at Sacred Heart, which is literally on the border of Fairfield and Bridgeport. So I've pretty much been in New York CT for like my whole life, if you really think about it. Mostly New York, of course. And,
well, see, I'm from Elmont, which is
I know you're Long Island. I'm from Westchester.
Yeah, right.
I know you guys like to think of us as upstate. But
it's about it's the first town east of Queens, and I lived 5 minutes from Belmont Racetrack, which usually only now. When people ask where is Elmont, you always tell them Belmont Racetrack, and then they know. You know, it's usually the 1 day per year that our hometown gets put on the map. The other 364 days, everybody's saying where the heck is Elmont? Now, granted, now with the Islanders right across the street from Belmont Park, you get at least 41 more days where you would hear that. And we will obviously get into that news regarding the Islanders. We'll get into that in one of the intermissions, and if not, definitely tomorrow on Game On, about how the Islanders fired Barry Trotz, which to me just came absolutely out of nowhere. But we will get into that a little bit later on. But yeah, that's where our town That's where I am. So I'm literally right on the Queens-Nassau border, a little bit east of there. So cool town. I mean, I miss it, but I miss what it used to be like. It's changed. I mean, a lot of Long Island and New York has changed since I've been down here 7 years ago. But I always consider it my home, and hopefully, you know, one of these days I'll be able to get back up there and go to a Ranger game, because it's an awesome experience, even in the playoffs. And I'm sure you've seen the social media posts about, you know, what Rangers Town, what they do outside the Garden and throughout the city. It's
I've been there. I came super early during like game 1, and did I tell you who I met, all the alumni that I saw when I was at that Rangers Town thing?
I saw the pictures, but go ahead.
So I met Brian Mullen, Ron Greshner. Who else did I see? Why am I blanking on his name? Oh, Colton Orr.
Colton Orr, wow.
I remember him, one of my old favorites. Glenn Anderson, Stefan Matteau. They bring a lot of the alumni for those things.
Oh, we gotta hold on just one second here. Looks like we're gonna have at least a 2-minute penalty on the Rangers. It was a high stick right in front of the official.
Yeah.
And that's on Nemeth.
Oh
yeah. So not straight in the face. It looked like it was more on the helmet, but nevertheless, it was a high stick.
No, they had to call that. As much as I've wanted to shame on the officials, like all series, that one you have to call.
All right, so there's our first.
That guy has been a liability this year. Like him and Braun have been the two defensemen that, like, anytime they're on the ice, you're like, oh no.
Yeah. So it was our first break. Rangers up 1-0 here early on in the first. As we carry on here on Game On, our special watch along, one of our many surprises that we have planned in store for you. And of course, episode 9 of the show comes up tomorrow. So yeah, no, I mean, that's going back to what you were saying, Hank, about the festivities they do around the Garden before a playoff game. It's great. I mean, I remember the buses as the fans were going around, and like you said, there's alumni there. It's a cool experience. I mean, I've said to somebody, if you ever do one thing, go to a hockey game. It's one thing to watch it on TV. I mean, I enjoy what we're doing right here, but
I'm gonna see if you can see it up close. Here's me with Brian Mullen.
Yep, I see that.
And another name I didn't mention, this older gentleman in the purple suit, that's Nick Fatiu.
Nick Fatiu, wow, absolutely.
Nick Fatiu was the first Ranger to be a native New Yorker. Brian Mullen was the second, actually. Nick Fatiu being from Staten Island, Brian Mullen grew up in Hell's Kitchen. Both were pretty solid Rangers during their time, and both of them are super great with the fans. I know oh boy, what's that noise?
That was me. You're good.
Oh no, it's all good. So
I was trying to get something here, but
one thing that's always impressed me with the alumni is they're always like great with the fans, and even the current players. Like something about hockey players where they're great people,
Absolutely, and the Rangers also do a great thing. My dad and I had a partial plan every year coming out of the lockout before, and then until we moved down here. And one of the things they did when they came back in 2005 was they had a special dinner event for the ticket holders. And we went and we met Sam Rosen, Adam Graves, a few of the other guys. Yeah. Sam's the man. I miss him. Obviously now being down here. I mean, I would get center ice and watch him, but I got the national guys down here. So Penguins are on the power play. 9 minutes to go here in the first. The Rangers are at 1-0.
Let's kill this off.
So,
come on, boys. Oh, geez, I hate it. Like. And I'm hearing them talk about that.
What do we got? It looks like
diet of spicy pork. I'm like, come on.
The Penguins are celebrating, but the whistle had blown, so we don't know what we got here. So stand by just 1 second. Oh, they are calling it the horn. The Penguins goal horn is going off, but I never saw the official do this. So let's stand by here for just 1 second. I mean, right now they're celebrating. They do have the goal horn going off. Let's take a look here to replay and see what we got. So Igor made the save. Oh, but his momentum took him into the net. But let's take a look here and see what we got.
Oh, crap.
Well, I don't see you don't see the puck though. And let's take a look at the overhand shot here.
I can't even.
You can't see the puck in the net, so you're assuming that it's under his pad, and the pad goes through the net, but you can't find the puck. And if you remember, yeah, I mean the logic would say that the puck went,
I can't even tell.
but you don't. But the rule is though. ESPN's got Dave Jackson, who officiated 83 playoff games. He was a referee from 89 to 2018 on right now. And I've always been taught that the entire puck has to go past the goal line, go past the line, but obviously you don't see it. So, see, I think it does. I mean, logic will tell you that it is through there, but you don't see it, though.
Yeah, that's it. Oh God, no!
I don't think this is going to be a good goal. Now,
I
granted,
don't know. I'm never going to assume that it won't be a good goal with these guys. They get a lot of calls. Like I'm sorry, I don't mean to go there, but like I'm not gonna. I always assume things are going to go their way unless it doesn't.
I don't see the puck. That would be. By the way, I think Crosby would get the goal if that was.
Well, yeah, he would have touched it.
So already a very critical moment. 11 minutes and 17 seconds into this one. Oh, I see it there. Oh. All right, here we go. There it is. Wow, this is so I don't think there's an angle that shows the puck going in. If this is in, they're going to assume that it's in, and you should not be doing that. All right, so there it is right there, and Crosby puts it in, but do you see it? Oh, that's not in.
No, that's not.
Igor actually. All right, here we go. Stand by. Wow.
I told you they were going to call it in.
It must have been that lower angle, which was the last thing that they showed. When Crosby bats it in, right there, they think it. They see it go in, and wow. So there's a power play. So once again, we talk about the and here comes Kreider coming right back for the Rangers, but doesn't get through there. Wow. So Crosby with a power play goal, and we're tied up at 1.
Oh my gosh.
71st career playoff goal for Sid.
Oh my God.
Which only trails Ovechkin among active players by 1. So Hank was talking about, the power plays.
Yep, and I stand by it. Come on, we got to get that momentum back. The special teams can swing games.
When I looked at it at first, it looked like Igor made the save and his momentum actually took him into the net. But what ended up happening was Crosby was right there and he batted it in.
Yeah,
and
no.
I guess Igor actually had it under his pad and it came out, but the puck completely went through. So Crosby now with 2 goals and 5 assists in this series. And now with about 7.5 to go here in the opening period, we are tied at 1 in Game 4. Here, as you're watching a special edition of Game On, a watch along of the Stanley Cup Playoffs Game 4 between the Rangers and the Penguins. Johnny Montalbano, Hank Indictor with you. We will have Nick Morganson, who's working behind the scenes for us tonight. He's going to come on during the first intermission, and we will do a little Game On like we normally do and mix some other topics into the course of the conversation as well, because there's certainly a lot of other stuff to talk about. We're going to get to a lot tomorrow on the show as well. So kind of the flater there. Now we'll see if the Rangers can respond to this. Rangers have scored the first goal in the game 3 out of 4 times in this series.
Oh my gosh, my Pens fan roommate just shut up. Now my phone's all blowing up, like so many group chats. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, going back to that goal. It had to be that last angle that if you want, I don't know what it's like on the MSG feed, but on the ESPN side of things, well, you saw it because you're watching it on Plus.
Yeah,
it must have been that last
camera
angle that they had that determined that the puck went in. And I guess if you blow it up really well, you can.
Yeah, I think if you really look at it the naked eye, I think that's probably what helped make their decision. But yeah, of course they're gonna give him the call, but we just got to find a way. Come on, shoot it.
Oh. Some of the tweets coming in about it.
Oh no! Stop turning the puck over. Okay, we got it back. Oh, excuse me.
This is one of those days, folks, that you multitask here. You're on social media, you're on TV, you're on the computer here.
Yeah, no, it's one of those days. And one of those days where if you're a fan like me, your heart's pounding. There's a lump in your throat.
Oh, I know that. I know. I mean, I'm right.
Yep.
I'm right there.
Yep.
Igor makes a save. As Igor makes a save there, the Penguins have it. And again, here we go again. And Crosby just took down somebody. No call.
Typical.
Oh no, we do have a call.
Oh.
Delayed penalty, and there's a whistle. So the Rangers will go on a power play, and it looks like it is going to be on. And it looks like it's going to be on Sid. Yeah.
Yep.
He did trip him. So, of course, when you do it right in front of an official, it's not that difficult. But let's take a look here, right there on Mika, and yep. And again, not that hard when you have an official right there. So Sid takes 2 for tripping. Rangers go on the power play. 4:22 to go here in the first. Game is tied at 1.
Yep.
Look at that scene outside of Pittsburgh right there. They got a watch party happening out there. Is the Garden doing anything for?
Oh yeah, they open up the Rangerstown events like for before every playoff game.
Oh, so even like for tonight for the road game, that's excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
And there are probably a number of bars in Manhattan that are having like watch parties. Whatnot.
Oh yeah. I actually did go to one of those when they were on the road once, and I was in the city back in the day. Just going through my feed here, and Dallas Mayor Eric Johnson talking to they're talking about football expanding. He's saying Dallas needs an expansion team, and we would be able to sustain 2 NFL teams better than LA or New York. All right, let's just relax just a little bit.
Oh, come on.
All right, let's take it a little bit easy there. All right, I mean, Dallas. I mean, I get New York has 2 and they play in the same stadium and stuff, but Texas has Houston. I mean, come on. Yeah, that's a little much.
So I think looking at that replay, it's funny. I couldn't see it at first, but like I kind of think it was. I see why they gave it a goal. Like I'm not happy about it, obviously, but it did just barely like get in. It just you had to really see the puck up close. So
yeah, they had to probably blow it up a little bit, and you got it. So TJ Oshie scored for the Capitals. They're up 1-0
oh my gosh,
in the first period there.
Washington might get that upset. That's crazy.
Well, that's that experience thing again, and Panthers are the #1 team in the East. It just goes to show you that's what's great about hockey.
Yep.
Team that gets hot at the right time, or gets a favorable matchup.
Mm-hmm. By the way, I found Nick synced me a link for a game that's like literally at the same speed as you. So the Rangers have the power play.
Right. Stop. Oh,
come on.
Oh, Kreider is limping a little bit.
Oh, no.
And they just blew the whistle now as he's a little bit hunched over as he goes to the bench.
Kreider's the guy.
Kreider's going to the locker room.
Oh, we could ill afford to lose him.
Let's take a look at this. What happens? Oh, so it's a shot by Zibanejad that gets deflected by a Penguin and goes right into the.
Yep.
Ooh, right below his neck. Oh, that's like a stinger. And Gerard Gallant shaking his head there.
That's going to leave
it was
a mark.
a Zibanejad shot that was deflected off a Penguin and went right in this area right here. And that's bone right up there. So that's gonna sting for a little bit. Hopefully it'll be hopefully that's probably not. I mean, I don't know if that area up there is necessarily protected either. So, and that thing's coming in sharp and then and then gets deflected. I mean, there's no way you can see that.
Mm-hmm.
Showing a Kreider stats here. As that one goes out of play with 3:10 to go here in the first. 48 seconds left on the Ranger power play. Whew.
Oh. Delay game?
No, I only got deflected out.
All right. Got the face off. 48 seconds left on the power play. Can we actually capitalize this time?
Got to win the face-off. That'd be a good start, but they don't. Florida just scored to tie it up, by the way, with 4:50 to go there. So that's tied at 1. And then later on tonight, you'll have Colorado, Nashville at 9:30, and also Calgary and Dallas at 9:30. I thought it was interesting, real quick here as the puck gets cleared out. I thought it was interesting. One of the calls that's been talked about a lot, obviously, was the no goal call towards the end of Game 1 with Kakko. And I just think the problem I have with that also is now you've seen 2 instances.
Kakko? Oh.
Yeah, and the thing is you've seen now 2 instances, and you saw me post this. You had that you had that very similar thing in Colorado and Nashville, which was called a good goal. And then you also had a thing in the LA Kings series, too, that was called a good goal. So that's the thing that bothers me is this the inconsistency. I think interference is one of the hardest calls to make, whether it's in hockey or in football. But now you've seen 3 very similar situations, and one was called a no goal, and the other 2 were called good goals. There's Fox.
Whew. He gets it. Passes to Panarin. Fox. Come on, can we shoot it?
I think you're a little behind me again.
Maybe a little bit, but at least this feed's faster than ESPN.
Okay. Yeah, Nick's usually very good at that. We'll have Nick on in just a few minutes here as
still 6 seconds left on that power play.
Yep. All right, now they're back to full strength. Penguins out shooting the Rangers 13-8 here with about 2 minutes to go here in the opening frame. Keep that air horn to Washington.
Oh, I hate that. That's so.
The Capitals thing is fine because that's a trademark thing. I think that's a season ticket holder that does that.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, I think that I'm trying to remember the exact story behind that.
It's like the drummer at Cleveland.
Oh, I think the Rangers got away with one. Let's see. Yeah, I don't see a hand up. Okay, I think the Rangers got away with a trip there.
Wow.
Well, you know what?
Hey, I mean, considering they've had no calls, like, I'm not going to apologize for that.
For the most part, you know what? I will say one thing though. At least the officials for the most part are letting these guys play, and you don't mind that. By the way, I will make this point. I can't stand the fact that we don't have the Stanley Cup playoff logo on either blue line.
Oh, I know. I missed that.
Well, the Penguins just had a very good chance there, almost scored, but they have it deep in here with about 40 seconds. So the first period winds down here in our watch along. See if we can get out of this tied.
Come on, get out of there.
And that should do it. And that'll be that. So one period in the books here. Rangers and Penguins tied up at 1. As you were watching a special edition of Game On, watch along of Game 4 between the Rangers and Penguins, presented by Knack, Johnny Montalbano and Hank Indictor. And we will welcome in Nick Morganson in just a moment here. So, Hank, real quick before we get Nick into the course of the conversation, initial thoughts on that opening period?
I thought the Rangers were starting off flying with that Lafreniere goal, but then they kind of looked sloppy towards the end. I think they definitely got to pick it up, and I wish they would have capitalized on that power play. They're 0 for their last 4, but we'll see what happens. I'm keeping my fingers crossed, but I'm still the anxieties and the nervousness is still through the roof right here as we speak. But you know what? I'm keeping the faith.
Absolutely. That's it. Yeah, I think it was a tale of 2 periods there. The Rangers got off to a fast start, which was something we were looking for. But ever since that penalty, and then the Penguins scored that power play goal, and it looked like they had momentum after that. And I think they outshot them 14-8 in that opening period. So, but you know what? At the end of the first, we're tied up at 1. And, we'll take a nice deep breath here, gather our thoughts, and we'll see what happens here for the second and third going on. But while we have a few minutes here, let's get a couple of other sports topics out of the way. And to do that, let's welcome in the third member of our group tonight. And that is somebody that you all know real well here from the Empty the Bench Podcast Network. And that is Nick Morganson.
Hey,
Nick,
guys.
welcome. There he is. Nick, welcome. How are you?
How's it going, guys? This game's actually been good. I'm not the biggest hockey watcher. I'm enjoying this.
I tell you, you were into it, especially in Game 1, weren't you, when that game went 3 overtimes?
Oh, my God. At least that was a fun overtime game. When you're watching NBA or NFL, you feel like, all right, I'm looking at the watch to see when it's over. This I can enjoy, at least.
Well, I think also it helps a little bit when you're kind of impartial to both teams and you're there just for the fun of it, right? It's a little different when you're actually rooting for one of them and you're stressed out beyond belief. And you're hanging by a thread there.
When I was doing the live streams to promote this earlier, I said Hank is like 100 fans of energy in one. Like I could just I can see it, and it's a good thing because you don't see fans like that.
Oh, and you know what? If the Knicks were in it, God forbid, one year we
and
do
again,
this.
if you've seen, you guys have seen what I've done all year long. I went to like 30 regular season games at the Garden, plus a few on the road, one in Philly, one in Boston, and a couple in New Jersey. And then playoffs, I went to the first two. Both times the atmosphere was crazy. And gosh, I'm really hoping we can get a tied series so that it can be the same way as I go back to the Garden for game 5. Like, we need this game. And oh man, it's funny. I didn't think that was a goal, but you know what? Looking at that replay again, I hate to say it, but it was the right call. But God, I hate.
That's one of those things. It's kind of like the pass interference in the NFL. Like you want to take the call away so bad, but you can't do it because you're just going to upset everybody that's watching the game. You can't change that call.
Well, it was weird because did they call it a goal originally on the ice? I mean, it looked
yes,
like
the horns went off.
The horns went off, but I didn't see any. I didn't see any score from the.
You know what that is? You know what that is, though? That's if they call it a goal, they can at least take it back. If they don't call it a goal and then they have to go look at the replay, then you're interpreting a goal that never technically happened.
That's all.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Basically it.
Because it's the same thing in the NFL. Like they'll go and they say, oh, well, they'll call it a touchdown and then they'll go and check if the feet were in afterwards. It's the same thing.
And they do that smart. That's a smart way of doing it, for sure. So, one period in, take a nice deep breath, and what we'll do here as we get you set for the second is we'll get a couple of other sports topics into.
I'm going to need to come back and refill my cup.
Absolutely,
right.
You go refuel. That's what I'm gonna do in a couple of minutes myself here. But Nick, I know you wanted to get into. We brought you on also because I know you want to get into a couple of other things real quick. So. I'll let you take the floor. If there's something you wanted to bring up and go for it, go for it.
Well, I'll ask you about a hockey topic right off the bat. Or should I wait for Hank for this one?
We'll get him back in just a moment. You want to talk about Trotz, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, well, I saw the Trotz news. That was huge, right?
Yeah, I have to tell you, I said to Hank while the first period was going on, and we'll get more in depth to this right now, but I was actually shocked by it because you look at how the Islanders have been these last few years with Barry Trotz after he won the Stanley Cup up down there in D.C. And I know this was his worst year, but I don't think a lot of it you could really blame on him. I mean, the Islanders, to be fair, and I'm saying this as an impartial fan, the Islanders were screwed because of COVID. If you look at what had happened earlier in the year when COVID was a big thing in the NHL, it still was. There were teams, especially in Canada, that they were suspending games. They were postponing games when they had like 2 or 3 players that were on the COVID list. The Islanders, I believe, at one point had 8 players on the COVID list, and they still were forcing them to play. They were bringing people up from Bridgeport to play.
Well, didn't they lose a bunch of games also due to COVID? If I'm not mistaken, they had to play games like at the last minute before the playoffs.
Yeah,
they did.
They did, and that ended up happening too. But in the beginning, they were forcing them to play down 8 guys, so they were bringing people up from Bridgeport.
Minor league. We're talking about baseball when all the COVID, when everyone went out for COVID, it was basically minor leagues playing.
Yeah. But the thing was, if that's the case, then why wasn't it like that with all the teams? If it really only happened to them. Hank, I was just saying to Nick about Barry Trotz and how I feel like this season wasn't really all his fault, especially when you look at the success that he had over there with the Islanders. That, with all the players that went out with COVID in the beginning, they never really got over that. I mean, you saw when the Rangers went. I think the Rangers had a couple of games against them in that stretch, and you couldn't even recognize half the roster.
Mm-hmm.
So I just don't get why that happened to them, and yet you have 2 or 3 players like in Canada that test positive, and they postpone those games.
I mean, forget it. COVID, of all sports, I think COVID hit hockey the hardest. If I had my opinion of the whole matter, because again, they're traveling over a country between Canada and the U.S. I mean, I remember the height of hockey COVID. I jokingly call it because literally they weren't even allowed to travel to Canada at one point, right?
Yeah, no, they weren't. They literally had to suspend that for like a whole 10 days, like probably 2 weeks, I think.
And then they eventually copied the NBA model, which I did not like, where the NBA basically spent $250 million on a bubble in Disney World, which basically had the whole 9 yards, a movie theater, video games, concerts, massages. They should just do a bubble all year round. The players would be happy just staying in one place all year.
Yeah, they had it pretty good then, and I mean, I don't think they could leave their hotel rooms there, but that still was a pretty cool.
Oh, come on! You don't think they broke the rules while they were there?
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, I think some of them have. I think James Harden was one of them, right?
We did have a certain chicken wing incident, if you know what if you know what I'm talking about.
And we all know about Kyrie Irving's situation, how he just flat out didn't even go down there. But yeah, actually just going back to what you were saying about the NHL in Canada, remember the Canada teams, they had their own division because they couldn't travel to the States until the playoffs.
Right. They didn't cross over until what, the second round or something?
I think it was the second round. Yeah, something like that.
So basically it was almost like what they call inter division.
Yeah.
Because they had no idea what they were doing. Well, we all know this. Between Rob Manfred and Gary Bettman, we're going to get nothing done.
Oh, yeah. Well, Gary Bettman's a better commissioner than Rob Manfred.
I never thought I would hear those words ever. I jokingly said it on the list a couple episodes ago on Empty the Bench that I would take Roger Goodell over Rob Manfred right now.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about that.
But I don't know. So there were some other stories as well. And I think the three of us were discussing the whole Chris Paul incident, which was insane. Another incident going down at an NBA playoff game because apparently hugs can be evil.
Well, you don't ever want to, unless you know the family, you don't ever want to go to an athlete's family. I mean, this is.
Oh, no. Obvious.
They never learn. Am I wrong?
They don't learn. And this is not the first time we've had an incident at a game. We saw Trae Young get spit on by, I think, by Knicks fans. And,
and then also the, F Trae Young chants when the Knicks were playing the Hawks in the playoff series.
That was that same series.
I still occasionally hear those chants at Madison Square Garden after Ranger games. It's like,
I know, it's crazy.
You know what I don't get about that? Trae Young never said or did anything.
He could have sued those fans.
What's that?
He could have sued those fans.
Yeah, but you know what? He took the high road, and let's be honest, the only thing that Trae Young did against the Knicks was just he played unbelievably well in that playoff series against the last.
Let's put it this way. Trae Young just signed a really expensive new contract with the Hawks, so I don't think he's going to be complaining about anything.
Yeah, it just, these two incidents are just a short list of numerous incidents that have happened now since post-COVID, when everybody's been allowed to go back into the stands, and it's just a post-COVID life. And I feel like in some ways that we've just, as a society, have just like lost it post-COVID.
You do know how the whole Karen incident started, right?
Part of it, yeah.
Well, courtside Karen became a thing when LeBron James, when the Lakers were playing in LA, and this woman who was extravagantly dressed and you could clearly tell she was being paid for given tickets. She's yelling at LeBron, and LeBron, of all people, basically bitches to security and says, "Get her out of here." And that's when that whole viral moment became a thing.
But Nick, can I be honest with you? When you look at all these things that are going on right now in sports, LeBron handled that the best way. It's better.
I agree with you.
You know what? More athletes should follow LeBron in doing that. Now, I've always said the athlete needs to be above the the swearing and the name calling and even the throwing or whatnot of anything. But the best way to handle that, if it gets to be to this level, is you have to go to an official, stop the game, and talk to the official about it and get security and get these fans out.
Well,
better than Draymond Green flipping the bird or Kyrie Irving flipping the bird. That's, or, dare I say we go back to Ron Artest back in 2004 with the Palace. Because I only say that because the way things are going right now, we're going to be going down that road again, where we're going to have another Malice in the Palace.
Well,
because it's happening now. Not only in this, I mean, it's happening in baseball when we saw with the Guardians and the Yankees earlier this year. This is a problem in sports that you are seeing along the lines. And I don't know really what the answer is. I don't know if it could be, more security, alcohol sales.
They already do it in baseball, though. They stop after the 7th inning.
Yeah, but I mean, but at the same time, this is what I've said, and I don't know how you can enforce this, but this has just been my thought about this. We should be so technologically savvy now that these license plates should have the driver's licenses, should have something where you only are allowed to buy so much beer or so much.
You can only buy, I think, 2 at a time, if I'm not mistaken, at most MLB stadiums, at least.
Well, I mean, that would be a good thing. I mean, that might be a start, but
but you know what people are doing? But wait a minute. You know what people are doing, right? They're sending other people with their license to go buy.
Of course.
But at the same time, just to go back for a second, what you said, the Ron Artest situation was a rarity that broke out into a wild, wild fight at Auburn Hills. And that'll never be relived to any other incident we've ever seen. They did a whole Netflix documentary on it. That's how historic it was. I mean,
we almost could have had that at Yankee Stadium if Miles Straw was actually able to get up into the stands.
First of all, and just to compare those two incidents, Miles Straw should have never climbed the wall. The fans don't get a pass. They were stupid. But
I'm not giving them a pass.
But Miles Straw should have never Spider-Man the wall and started getting in the fans' faces. Because what happens if those fans literally hit him and knock him off the stands there? Whose fault is it? It's technically his for instigating back at the fans.
Yep.
You can't win. And just to put a bow on the Chris Paul thing, I mean, these people pay a lot of money for seats. That's no excuse for the way they act, obviously. But I don't know. Sometimes I think players are too sensitive, not for the incidents where physical things happen, but if they're egging on the players, I kind of like it. I kind of like when the fans are egging on. It makes them play better.
Look at what we see in hockey now. Look at the Penguin fans were serenading Shesterkin after a year of that goal. They were chanting Igor, Igor.
Well, that's normal. That's just rooting against the team you're playing against. But but I get it. And the fan got banned from American Airlines Center until 2023. They probably should have banned him for life, in my opinion.
Yeah, you may want to go a little bit longer than that, but
because you don't put hands on a player's family. I don't care who you are.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. Yeah, the whole NBA playoff. Outside of that moment, the whole NBA playoffs have been crazy in general, and then also the news today about Jokic winning the MVP award for the second consecutive season. I personally would have given it to Joel Embiid.
Me too.
I think you're definitely seeing in the Sixer Heat series, his impact, him being back on the court.
but playoffs don't count towards the MVP.
No, I understand that.
I know, but I would have probably given it to either Embiid or Giannis. I don't know if Jokic would have been.
I think Embiid, even with getting injured now, he was the first big man to win a scoring title since 2000 and Shaquille O'Neal with the Lakers.
Shaq, yeah.
Oh, that's huge.
And they totally, I think, overlooked that. Now, don't get me wrong. Jokic is a freak on the court. Like he's a 7-foot tall dribbling big man, which we're seeing more of. Embiid can do it. Jokic can do it. I'm seeing a bunch of other guys. How often back in the day, let's go back a decade. How many big men were dribbling up like a point guard? 0.
Or, shooting threes or anything like that. No, game has changed. Basketball's become a positionless game. That's really what it is now.
The last guy I can really think of that was if you want to go back a bit, would be Magic Johnson. He was kind of your big man point guard that really started that trend many decades ago. Now you're seeing every big man who can handle the basketball.
Yeah, big men now shooting threes. I mean, that's another thing too. I think the last guy I can remember doing that was and this will make you sound crazy. He's Rafe LaFriends.
Oh my God! Wow.
Right?
Wow.
Going back a little bit, but yeah.
Go ahead.
No, you're good. Go ahead, Nick.
I was just going to say, well, what do you make of all these ridiculous fouls in the NBA playoffs? Like the intent to hurt. I'm getting annoyed with this whole intent to hurt rule. I don't know what the rules are in the NHL. If there is an intent to hurt type rule, is there?
No, I don't think so. I mean, if they do deem that to be a match penalty, which would be a 5-minute penalty, but second period's about to start in a couple of minutes here, so we'll have to wrap this up real quick. But as far as the fouls in basketball go, yeah, they are a little touchy. Now, one other thing I would say with basketball, real quick, you're noticing is all these big players, these valuable players that are getting injured. And now, John Morant's going to be out. We just saw tonight Robert Williams is out again.
They're going to lose that series. With Morant out, they're going to lose that series, the Warriors.
I thought they were going to lose even with him in that series. I think the Warriors, John Morant might be the best player in that series, but the Warriors are a better all-around team to me in that series.
Yes, the Warriors, if healthy, they should win the title. They should win the title if they're healthy.
Well, and I'll tell you, watch that Dallas and Phoenix series now that it's tied 2-2. I'll tell you, I mean, the Phoenix, they needed to close that series out quick, and I don't know. Now it's going to go at least 6.
Yeah, that series, I'm concerned that the Suns could lose it.
Yeah, and we will definitely get into
all. That would be one of the. If they lose, that might be one of the biggest failures in their franchise history, and that says a lot considering how they've been.
Absolutely. Well, we will get into the NBA. The second period is underway. We will get into the NBA playoffs a lot tomorrow on the show because we have to talk about all these injuries and, like you said, the Chris Paul incident and how it's like sparking something in sports. But yeah, definitely a lot of NBA talk to get into. So, Nick, we will catch you at the end of the second period, and we'll probably get into some, the football, some part of the football schedule, and even a little baseball as well. So, Nick, we'll catch up with you in about, let's say, 45 minutes or so.
All right.
All right, Hank. Second period is underway here in Pittsburgh. I don't even know where they even call this arena anymore.
PPG Paints Arena.
PPG
Paints.
Interesting. So PPG meaning power play goals. Okay, I
see
the conspiracy now in all of this. Kreider's back out there, by the way, so that's
that's encouraging.
Yeah.
Icing. Yep.
Crosby, Rust, and Gensel have 7 goals in this series, and the rest of the team have 7.
Yeah, they have been tough to handle. Come on, let's win this face-off. Kopp and Crosby. All right. Braun wins it. Kopp over to Fox.
Well, setting up like a power play in this situation here. I guess that one goes out of play.
Here you go.
So again, we'll see how this period starts off. See if anybody can get off to a quick start here in this one. Seems like like you said, end of the first, it looked like all the momentum was on Pittsburgh. It was like a tale of 2 periods.
Yeah.
In the first, where the Rangers started out well, and then the
Penguins. Excuse me, wrong pipe.
That's the word.
Hate that. Don't worry, I'm not dying.
In front of the net there.
When the face off
stopped. Yeah. Penguins outshot the Rangers 14-8 in that opening frame. Here comes Pittsburgh, and they score.
Damn it.
Oh, wait a second. What happened here? Let me just put a little. I think he deked everybody. We'll have to see now.
Oh, that didn't even go in.
Wow. Pittsburgh ruled on the ice. Penguins thought they scored. ESPN thought they scored. They were panning towards the Penguin player. It's a great feed though from the Penguins. It was a wow. I can't wait to see the
Dodged a
replay.
bullet.
This is huge. Talk about a little momentum with
Oh,
Pittsburgh,
dude.
and if they go up 2-1, I mean, this is wow.
Oh, jeez. Come on.
You know, one of the things I noticed late in that first is it looked like the Rangers were trying to get a little too cute again with the passes.
Yep.
You got a third string goal, and you got a third string goaltender whose goals
They
against
gotta
average
shoot it.
you don't have to be too cute. I mean, Domingue was not able to stop regular shots. All right, so there's Igor has it right now. Let's see if we got a replay here and see exactly what happened because it's Carter. Oh, and he hit the post. That's what it was. He got through the wickets of Igor and he hit the post. Oh man, Rangers caught a huge break. I mean that it was an incredible pass, and he was all alone. That's Jeff Carter, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, the veteran that we all know from the Kings and the Flyers.
Wow, we dodged.
Oh, they just scored anyway.
Huh?
Off the face-off, and it looks like it was Gensel.
Oh. Of course, I say they dodged a bullet, and then that happens.
Well, they did dodge one there, but let's see. Of course, face-off win, and and it was deflected. Yep. So it was. You know what? It was deflected off a Ranger stick. So the Penguins, just like that, moments after it looked like the Rangers caught a break, now go up 2-1. And it's Mike Matheson that gets the goal. The defenseman, his first career playoff goal. And another one.
No.
That's Gensel.
Oh. Damn it.
Another 2-1, by the way, another pass from Russ over. There's nobody near Jake Gensel. And I'm sorry, these last two goals are not on Shesterkin. I'm sorry.
No,
Fifth goal for Jake Gensel. Guy that we had talked about with Brian Attard from Sportsbox Game On last week. So 2 goals in 24 seconds, and all of a sudden now it is 3-1 Pittsburgh, and the Rangers are going to have to get something here really quick because the last, I'd say, 15 game minutes have been all Pittsburgh. It's really been since the Crosby goal.
Well, they have the dreaded 2-goal lead.
Well, they've been down this road before. They're up 4-1. This one, I don't, for some weird reason, though, feels a little bit different. Now, there's still a lot of time left.
There is.
We're only 5 minutes into the second period, and the Rangers have come back before, but as Pittsburgh almost scored again, a lot of time being spent in the Rangers zone. There's a save, another deflection, and another one. Getting very tough. Gallant's going to probably need to do a timeout or something here real soon because this has been all Pittsburgh from late first period now and 5 minutes into the second. Here come the Rangers, and it looks like that one just hit the top crossbar.
Oh, crap.
Right? You saw that, right? I mean, that one definitely went past Ming, but
gosh, that would have.
That's what I'm saying. You know, with all right, just a little.
Jeez.
Wow. Rangers bring it in now.
Oh, crap. Oh, man.
Ooh. I didn't get a chance to see if they were saying anything about what happened with Kreider there. If it was just
No, it was just a stinger, I think.
I mean, if you saw the replay of what had happened to him,
It looked worse than it actually was, I'll tell you that.
yeah. Trying for the cross-ice pass, which I don't know if really is necessary when you're facing somebody like Ming. Rangers the last couple of minutes here have been in deep, but nothing really to show for it, and that's going to go down. Wow, almost another one right there for Pittsburgh. That was another cross ice, and that's the thing. You notice Igor really is not having a chance here because there's like nobody in front of the net. And the second Pittsburgh goal was deflected off a Ranger stick, and the most recent one was a cross-ice pass.
Yep.
Here comes Pittsburgh again. Oh, and that one goes right through the goal mouth and out. Unbelievable.
Oh my gosh.
You saw that, right?
Yeah.
And here we go again. And they're offside. So we're halfway through the second period. Penguins up 3-1 on 2 goals in 24 seconds earlier on. Second one was deflected, and the most recent one, a beautiful feed from Rust to Gensel. That line just is killing the Rangers in this series. One of the 2 reasons why I give Pittsburgh a chance was that veteran line and those players, Crosby, Malkin, Gensel, and Rust. They've been killing them in this whole entire series.
Yeah, absolutely brutal.
Yeah, it's
absolutely brutal. Sorry if I'm being too much of a homer here.
But. No, you're good. I mean, it's tough. You're trying to do a show, but you're acting as a true fan, and that's totally understandable. Yep. I mean, I'm trying to keep it all together too. I mean, it's definitely frustrating for sure, but it's those 2 things that I've been worried about. See, the thing that's frustrating me is these are the 2 things that worried about me the most. You look at this right now. If the Rangers don't go on to win this series, it's not going to be because Domingue outplayed Shesterkin. That's why.
No, it's not.
And I think that almost would be a little bit more frustrating if say they lost every game 1-0 or 2-1, and Domingue was playing great. But that's not what's happening. You're seeing the experience of the Penguins versus the inexperienced defense of the Rangers. That's really what it's coming down to.
Mm-hmm.
That's a matchup why, if we had more time with Brian last week, I would have said that would be the one thing that would be worrying me. I'd still, though, every day and twice on Sunday be taking the goaltending matchup being
as this. I would agree with that. I would definitely agree with that.
Oh, I got some breaking news here on the NBA.
Oh, what's that?
Warrior head coach Steve Kerr tested positive for COVID. So
Ooh.
Mike Brown is Mike Brown's going to coach them. We'll bring that up with Nick during the intermission, but a big deal there. We were just talking about. He got
hired to be the new coach of the Kings,
which is amazing. Yeah, that's something we can get to tomorrow as well. But that'll be something to watch. Yeah, no John Morant for the Grizzlies down there, and that is a huge deal. And I still thought the Warriors were going to win that series, and I think they are now. But it's a trend that you're seeing in the NBA. All these big star players missing time in the playoffs with injuries. But back here at PPG Arena, Penguins leading 3-1 here, Game 4 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. While we do seem a little down, we're still happy that you're along for the ride with us. I mean, it is an honor to be doing this. It's a surprise. That's something we've wanted to do for a while now, and a couple of months into Game On, we are pulling it out. I'm sure this will not be the last time we do a watch along. Probably mix in some NBA as the postseason continues. And Penguins just scored again. And now it is 4-1. And this 4-1 feels a little bit different than Saturday's 4-1. And that might be one that Igor wants to have back.
That was bad.
Yeah, that's, there was, right underneath the left pad. Yeah, that is not a good one by Igor.
Oh,
Right there. That is one that's not good, and that's Mark Freeman who gets the goal. So 2 defensemen for the Penguins scoring their first career playoff goal. And that's the thing too. That's 2 defensemen for the Penguins scoring here in the second. And now all of a sudden it is 4-1, and things are not looking good. Now the Rangers in the regular season had 27 comeback wins, which was the second most in the league. But now you're asking them to come back from 3 down for the second consecutive game.
Law of averages dictates that's highly unlikely.
Well, you're going to have to get one here quick to have a little bit, to have a better feeling. But, this is not looking good, folks. Second youngest roster in the playoffs, the Rangers, that they're averaging about 26.6 years old. We've talked about this before. The Rangers are ahead of schedule, even if, it doesn't work out for them. This has still been a success. As Strome tries to take a shot there, stopped by Dominguez.
Oh my gosh, no.
Puck's in front of the net again. And again, Penguins threatening. Man. And again, there's another one where Igor's got to make the stop. And you're really seeing the Penguins exploiting the Rangers' defense here. With about 6 minutes to go here in the second, and it is 4-1 Pittsburgh. Here.
As we head into the break. Yeah, they just look like they're self-destructing, can't get out of their own way. It's not fun.
Yeah, no, it's just Nick just brought in our chat about Steve Kerr testing positive, and that's a big deal. It's a definite big deal. We'll talk about that with Nick during the intermission, and also bring that up on the show tomorrow. Because I don't think that changes much in the series, but I mean, nevertheless, it's definitely something to think about. I mean, if they get John Moran, if the Grizzlies win and John Moran comes back, I mean, it could be something, but. Well, let's give a. Can we borrow your fun fact and give and maybe on the graphic use Nick's fun facts, because he gave us a good fun fact in the chat.
Oh
here.
yeah, yes.
Oh, well, it is via the Penguins on Twitter, so let's give the Pens a little bit of credit.
Since making it, they're tied with. Geez, I
Nick
didn't
fun
realize.
facts. I love that everybody's got them. But Hank, it starts with you, and then we'll just branch off from there. So yeah, Gensel's got 31 playoff goals since his playoff debut in 2017, and that's tied for the third most in the league with Alex Ovechkin. When you're up there with Ovechkin, that's pretty something. And I think this goes back to what we were speaking earlier about the Penguins being in the playoffs for 16 consecutive seasons.
Yep.
And the Rangers score.
All right, finally.
Just like that. So there's one. And like we said, that the one thing you've got here is you can score on this goaltender.
There we
and
go.
It looks like that was – we'll see where we get here. So let's see there. That's Fox. Oh, look at that. And it goes off the Penguin defenseman's skate and in. So Nick, change that. That's going to be Adam Fox that gets the goal because he shot it in and went off of Matheson. So Matheson gets a goal for the Penguins, and he gets an assist for the Rangers.
Yeah.
So the Rangers back in it now, 4-2, and now they can all of a sudden get another one here real quick.
Goal.
Then the Rangers are back in business, and that's the thing. This is not like Marc-Andre Fleury or one of those guys. I mean, this is a third string guy, and that one's not on.
No, that was just a lucky bounce, but you never know. Maybe this changed the momentum.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a second career playoff goal for Adam Fox. So all of a sudden now 4-2 with 5:21 to go here in the second as we got an icing. But so Fox was just putting it towards the net, and it went off of Matheson's skate and in. So again, that one you don't really put on the goaltender, but at the same time, you'll take it. I mean, we've seen the Rangers have a couple of, we saw a deflection off of Rangers on that second Penguin goal. I think from Matheson, actually, no less, when it went off of the Rangers stick and in. So 4-2. When you go into the third period down 2, it's not insurmountable.
No, it can happen.
Kind of long. Save there with all fours. I haven't seen a lot of call. They're letting them play. Not a lot of calls here. I don't think we've had one in this period ever since the Crosby penalty. Had one power play each. Well, you just got to keep peppering this goaltender because he's not that great. Just trying to see, checking to see if we've got any other news happening. Now, I don't know what the situation is with Kerr. If this could be something that he can miss multiple games with over there in Golden State.
Well, luckily for them, Mike Brown's an excellent assistant coach, and he's done well in the times where, Steve Kerr has had to sit out due to medical reasons. So I think they're still pretty much in good shape, the Warriors, regardless of who's coaching that team.
I agree. And like I said, John Morant, to me, may be the best player in that series, but the best team to me is Golden State.
Yeah, I think the Grizzlies will definitely be a threat for years to come, but they still need to build around him, and I think they're still young and inexperienced, the Grizzlies. So it goes to show you experience matters. I think you need to have your heart. I think you kind of need to have a letdown before you eventually reach success.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get into a lot in just a little bit. Under 5 to play here, the last TV timeout of the second, and you're watching the ETB Network's Stanley Cup Playoffs watch along for Game 4 here between the Rangers and Pens. Game on special here. Johnny Montalbano along with Hank Indictor, and we're presented by Knack Bags. And if you ever wanted a bag or needed a bag for multi-purpose use, or a bag that you don't need to worry about your important items such as your laptop or phone, then Knack Bags are the bag for you. Knack are your everyday bag for work, travel, and leisure. Knack comes with a fully padded interior to keep your electronics safe. With its sleek design, organized interior, and professional appearance, it looks great at work or on the street and expands for more capacity when you need it. Get a Knack bag today and stop worrying about how you look when carrying your life essentials. And folks, use the code GAME, G-A-M-E, at checkout. And for a limited time, you get a free TSA-approved lock with your purchase. Just add the TSA lock to your cart with your Knack bag of choice and use the code GAME, G-A-M-E, to get it for free. And we thank our friends over at Knack for sponsoring not only Game On, but also Empty the Bench and also all of our great ET Binny Network programming.
Well said. Well said.
Those bags are awesome, I have to say. I mean, it's an honor to have them sponsor and present our shows here on the Empty the Bench Podcast Network. So, Hank, when you look at it, there's another interesting stat. Penguins winning more than half the faceoffs, 21 now to 11, and that's a thing too. Rangers have been pretty good on faceoffs, so
definitely need to be better in that department, though.
Yeah, that's part of it.
Hopefully, we can get another goal before the third. At least put a scare in them.
If you get out of this period and it's a 1-goal game, I think you'd sign up.
You'd sign up for that,
especially when you think about that stretch when it really was all Penguins from 10 minutes of the 10 minutes remaining in the first till about the first 5 or 10 here the second. Excuse me, it was all Pittsburgh. But despite all that, it's just a 2-goal game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now Pittsburgh's driving again here. But that's where we're at here with about 3 minutes to go. Boy, here we go again. Oh, great big save there by Igor on the again another cross-ice pass, and almost very similar to one of the first ones. That was a huge save by Igor. Now the Rangers are driving a stop there. It's amazing how many times that Igor has had to deal, and another one in front of the net there. See, that's the thing. Pittsburgh's being able to exploit that young Ranger defense. By the way, coming up in a few minutes here as we enter the second intermission, Nick Morganson will be back with us, and we'll get his thoughts on the breaking news regarding Warriors head coach Steve Kerr testing positive for COVID and missing tonight's Game 4 against the Grizzlies. And then also we'll get into, we have time, we've got some leaks in the NFL schedule. John Moran is officially out. Yep. We'll get into some thoughts about the NFL schedule being released. The full schedule comes out on Thursday. I'm going to maybe get a Monty moment on Friday about it. If not, we'll definitely talk about it on episode 10 next week. Oh my gosh. We'll have that. And also a couple of things maybe on the baseball front real quick. First 2 teams in Major League Baseball to 20 wins.
Yankees and Mets.
Pretty incredible stuff. And you think of the Yanks, who right now looks like their offense is now slumping and still being able to take 2 out of 3 against the Texas Rangers. Notice how I had to say it like that specifically.
Yeah, no.
I should just say Texas so we don't think about the Rangers losing a game. But we'll get into all that either today, later on in this period, or also tomorrow. And then who knows if we have a third intermission. Just saying. Right now, if you're a Ranger fan, you sign up for that. But
I would.
Focus on the here and now. He's got about a minute to go. Penguins are threatening, and they just scored again. And I think it was I hate to say it, but I think it was deflected again. Let's take a look. Okay, it was deflected off a Penguin stick. It was a nice deflection by Letang shot that. And, I mean, at a point-blank range, he shot that, and it was a beautiful deflection in front by...
This is why the Rangers need to take more of these shots. You never know if somebody's going to be in front and deflect it. This has happened a lot during the season. They're getting away from what they're good at.
Yeah, Heinen got that goal, deflected that one in front. So another deflected goal. And just as we were talking about how now Penguins threatening again, and Igor's got that. Well, all the talk that we had just a couple of moments ago, I guess you could just erase that. They're pointing that stat about the number of goals number of times in the playoffs that he's given up 4, and I understand 4 is 4, but again, a couple of these not his fault. Penguins out shooting the Rangers, by the way, 29-19. As we've got an icing with 35 seconds left. So Pittsburgh up 5-2. And all of a sudden now, it is not looking good again. A lot of time spent in the Rangers zone. And there's another one, and now it's 6-2.
Oh, my God. Are you... My God, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous.
Well, Hank, you know what? And that one was also deflected. But let's be honest. Just fundamental hockey. You can't win a face-off. I mean, that one was drawn right off the face-off, and again deflected.
You got to pull him after this. I'm sorry, like he's getting hung out. You got to pull him.
So once again, Pittsburgh exploiting the Rangers' young defense and also winning a tremendous amount of face-offs. Let me look up real quick. I thought the Rangers actually were they very good on face-offs this year? And
they were kind of meh. Face-offs were never really one of their strong suits.
And there's a whistle in the second period. Let's see. Yeah, they only won 45%. And in fact, of the 16 teams that are in the playoffs right now, during the regular season, the Rangers were the second worst team in winning faceoffs.
Yeah, it's not. I told you, it's never been a strong suit.
So that's what's going on. So all of a sudden now, the Penguins are up by 4, and things are not looking too good here. But you are watching the Game On Watch Along presented by Knack here on the Empty the Bench Podcast Network. Johnny Montalbano, Hank Indictor with you. And let's get away from this game for just a few minutes here and collect ourselves. And let's welcome back in Nick Morgeson. So, Nick, before we get into some other stuff, what do you?
This game is fast. This game is fast.
It is, isn't it?
Well, it's quick suffering, yeah.
I thought the NBA was fast going up and down the court.
Hold on, I got to take this off. This is like sweating me and like this may be bad.
Rangers, Hank is steaming.
I don't blame them. The way that they're not playing fundamental hockey at all.
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, they're not winning face-offs. I mean, we were talking about that with Hank. They're not winning face-offs. Igor is getting left out to dry. I mean, I'm sorry. Most of these goals are not on him.
No, they're not.
And you may have to, and Hank, I think you're right. You may have to pull him again, but at the same time, I don't know really what that does now.
Well, you're already being up 4 in hockey is like being up 10 in a baseball game. Like you can't control it at this point.
No, but you can. But now you only got 20 minutes, and now the Penguins can basically play defensive hockey the rest of the way. I mean, the Rangers are going to have to score 2 very quick ones here, but the problem is, they spend from about mid to late first period through the first part of the second period and then the last part of this period was spent a lot of time in their own zone. Couldn't get anything out. So
Yeah, but it's tough when you don't play D. Like in any sport, if you don't play D, you can't win.
Well, that was one of the things, I didn't get a chance to talk about this with Brian when we had him on the show last week, but two of the reasons why I did have a little bit of concern with the Rangers was their young defense and Pittsburgh's experience. And you're seeing a lot of the Pittsburgh experience, and you're seeing the Rangers' young defense getting absolutely exploited in this series, especially in these last couple of games. But, Nick, since we have you here, we'll get into some football things in a couple of seconds and also a quick baseball. But I got to get your thoughts real quick on the breaking news that developed while the second period was going on about Steve Kerr testing positive for COVID. Mike Brown's going to be serving as the coach tonight. Does that really make much with John Morant, though, being officially ruled out on the Memphis side of things? Does it really make that much of a difference?
They're not going to win tonight without Morant. They're just not going to win. He's the star. It's like if the Warriors didn't have Steph Curry. Now, it's a little different because you have a Draymond and a Clay, and you have a bunch of other guys that could Jordan Poole, who's really been the star of their roster so far. So they could win a game, maybe two, without Steph. But the Grizzlies are not going to win without Morant. It's just not going to happen. This series is over. Yeah. It's over. I mean, what are they up to? What is it, 2-2 now? Though?
2-1.
Or 2-1? They're up 2-1. They're going to lose tonight. Steve Kerr or no Steve Kerr. A coach doesn't make a team go. The stars make the team go. So you could put a Joe Schmo at coach, and the Warriors are still going to win. That's like it's that weird situation, like when the Celtics were a good team when they had the big three, or when Miami had the big three. I wouldn't say Eric Spoelstra is the best coach of all time, but he knows how to coach the guys that are in front of him. Now, if you want, you could argue and debate whether if it was LeBron's team or not, but that's neither here nor there. The COVID thing, that just goes to show you that COVID is not gone. Okay? It's not gone.
Well, look in baseball. Look how many players are being put on the COVID list in baseball. Now, not all that is because they test positive. It could be because they're experiencing symptoms or they're
close contact
around people that test positive. But yeah, no, I mean, you're seeing that in baseball. A lot of players are being put on the COVID list too. But yeah, no, Steve Kerr, I think isn't this the second time that he's dealt with COVID, if I remember correctly?
I think you're right, actually. I think he had COVID a second time. Now, it is funny.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but we don't know if he necessarily tested positive for COVID or, it's just being put on the list.
No, who? Kerr?
Yeah.
He tested positive.
No, he did test positive.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I take that back. He did test positive, yeah.
Well, he would have been out anyway, because if he was near someone that had it, they still have the rules for close contact COVID. That's in all sports. I guarantee you in the NHL, like if someone tested positive, they wouldn't be playing tonight if that were the case.
Right.
But I think I was starting to ask you guys before, what do you think about all these hard fouls?
The officiating's been tough.
Well, the Gary Payton broken arm.
Yeah, it's bad.
And what are you supposed to do? Like, you see all these dumb talking heads. Skip Bayless. Sorry. That's the only one I can really not stand at this point. Going on social media. Suspend everybody. Okay.
No, it's a physical game. The NBA is physical. That's going to happen. You can't suspend them.
If you can't handle the physical nature of the NBA, then what about the NHL?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not an NHL fan, but I can at least admit that the NHL is a physical sport in every way, shape, or form. Like, can you imagine if players actually got hit up against walls in the NBA? They'd be crying. They'd be absolutely crying.
More baseball.
Baseball is a walk in the park compared to hockey.
Yeah, I'd say hockey athletes are the best athletes of the four major sports because you got to know how to skate, which I can't do. I tried rollerblading or ice skating once, and I suffered a bruised buttocks. But we won't go into that. But I always say hockey athletes are the best because they take more. I mean, they take as much punishment as football players. They play through so much. You learn about things at the end of the season that these guys play through. It's remarkable.
Well, if you think about it, NHL athletes are moving targets on skates. If you think about it, so one wrong move, you're a moving, hitting target.
And look at the Rangers. I mean, they don't block a shot to save their life. I mean, imagine you're a team that blocks shots all the time.
There's no defense tonight. I mean, I don't need to be a brain surgeon in hockey to realize that they're not playing defense.
You're right. Absolutely. And we'll see what happens here. I mean, it's definitely not looking good. That's for sure. And we'll get back to the third period in just a moment. Nick, how about our two local baseball teams, the Mets and the Yankees, both first to 20 wins this season?
By the way, we could say that's a fun fact because that has not actually happened in the history of baseball, where the Yankees and the Mets have had the first teams to 20 wins in each league. Wow. It's never happened.
Yeah.
Wait, that's right. Jeez.
So yeah, there's your fun facts for you.
Love that. That.
Share the love. Hank's got a fun fact. Nick's got a fun fact. I've got a fun fact.
Good about the Yankees right now. I'm sorry. I'm in too foul of a mood to feel good about the Yankees because the Rangers just completely shit the bed. Like, what do you like? Look, I'll be excited about the Yankees like soon, eventually, but like right now, like, see, to quote Brian, this is one of my sicknesses.
I mean, do we have any out of town scores since we're sitting here?
Well, the only game going on right now is the Capitals and the Panthers. And right now, that also just went to the second, and that game is tied at 1.
And how's that series going?
2-1 Capitals, and that is an 8/1 seed. The Capitals are the 8 seed. The Panthers are the top seed right now.
I feel like you see more upsets in hockey than any other sport.
Well, what it really comes down to, is goaltending first. If a team gets hot at the right time, and you definitely could see the 8-1 upset in hockey more than really any other sport. I know Hank doesn't want to hear this, but when the Rangers were in the Stanley Cup final against the Kings, I think the Kings were an 8 seed, right?
No, they were. I don't think they were. No, they were second or third. That was the first year of the weird 2 versus 3 in each division.
Okay, that's right.
That was the year they stopped doing the 1 through 8 seed. Which, by the way, they never should have stopped doing that. That's a tangent for another day.
Right. So the Capitals. So technically, the Capitals were the second wild card, Nick. That's what they are. But that's essentially like being the 8th seed against the Panthers, and then the Hurricanes are also a 1 seed. So yeah, they've changed it up. It's like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then 2 wild card teams.
I mean, if we're just looking around the rest of the leagues as well, there's NBA playoffs going on. The Bucks are leading Boston in the third quarter, 50-48. That just got underway in the third quarter.
Yes, the Bucks try and take a 3-1 series lead there. The big story in that game tonight is that Robert Williams is out again for
major injury.
Yeah, he came back from an injury and now he's out with knee soreness.
I think he had knee surgery. I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So that's a big deal there. And later on tonight, we've spoken about it. The Grizzlies take on the Warriors at 10 o'clock, and then at 9:30 back in the NHL, the other 2 games get started there, and that is Colorado-Nashville as the Avalanche look for a 4-game sweep, and then the Flames and the Stars down in Dallas, with Dallas leading that series 2-1. And then tomorrow, you're going to have the other 4 series begin their Game 5s, and all 4 of those series, Nick, Bruins, Hurricanes, Lightning, Maple Leafs, Blues, Wild, and Kings, Oilers are all tied at 2.
See, that's what I love about hockey. If I had to pick one thing, like, you're never going to see like instant blowouts in a hockey series.
It's extremely rare. That's for sure. I mean, we see maybe Colorado and Nashville. I mean, that could be a 4-game sweep. But I mean, who would have thought that the Bruins would come back against the Hurricanes tied at 2? I thought that the Hurricanes were going to have that lock stop, and they still might, but that series is going to go at least 6. So we already are looking at the minimum here 4 series going 6 games.
We need more like that. The NBA needs more like that.
Yep.
Yeah, it's more difficult though in the NBA because I think home court means more, and your star players, really shine in the NBA.
You're saying home ice doesn't really matter in the NHL?
I don't think it means as much as in basketball.
It matters to an extent, but it's also there have also been plenty of upsets.
I mean, if you look at the four major sports real quick, I think basketball, the home court situation means more because in football it's a single elimination. In baseball, your pitching mainly dictates that. Hockey, you see more upsets just because it's different. And basketball, the best team usually wins because of your star players and stuff. It usually comes down to talent in the NBA.
Yeah, it's true. Like we said, you need an A and a B to really win. And
I think the exception though in the NBA when you look at it is maybe like right now the Warriors because the Grizzlies I know are a 2-seed, Warriors are a 3-seed, but if you look at those two teams, without John Morant, the Grizzlies don't have much. And
it's true, you're right.
And the Warriors, it's crazy because look, the Suns are deep. Don't get me wrong, and we found out today that Monty Williams won the Coach of the Year, which is understandable.
Well deserved.
Yeah, absolutely. But when you look at the Suns and how deep they are, and the fact that they're going to go at least 6 games, that is something to keep an eye on. Because if somehow that series goes deep, and let's say the Warriors can get past the Grizzlies in 5, you've almost got to give Golden State a pretty good chance. I've always said I think the Warriors are, in some ways, they're still very underrated because I know Phoenix is very talented. Don't get me wrong, but they should have been up more than tied at 2 in that series.
See what happens.
Yeah, so even the NBA is kind of predictable, and you know what? Even give the Sixers coming back 2 games apiece after look.
I have to tell you one thing. So I got into a fight with fans on Twitter about James Harden.
I saw this. Yeah, so go ahead. I actually saw this morning when I was wrapping up my day job.
So all the networks, including TNT, which had the game for the Sixers. Oh my God, he hit a clutch shot. They're up 8, first of all, with 1 minute and 9 seconds left. The Sixers are up 8 against who are they playing? Miami. So he hits a 3-pointer. And the announcers go crazy. What a clutch shot. Blah, blah, blah. They're up 11 with 1 minute 9, minute 8 to go. And I'm saying to myself, what clutch shot? They're up 8 points with 1 minute 9 to go. And then he hits a 3 and it's now a double-digit lead. It's not a clutch shot. And people tell me, you don't know what you're talking about. It's a clutch shot. You're delusional. And I'm like, yeah, because James Harden is known for the clutch. Some people should stay off of Twitter if they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, I saw that this morning. I was like,
and my favorite, you'll love this, Johnny, when they said to me in 2018 that the Rockets were the best team in the NBA.
I was at work. I almost dropped a container of soda when I saw that.
The Warriors were going through their stretch, their domination period at that point.
Come on. It was not even close. That Warriors team was so loaded. It was unbelievable.
Don't get me wrong. That series went 7 games, and the reason that the Rockets lost is because they went 7 for 44 from 3-point range in Game 7. Let me say that again: 7 for 44.
Speaking of fundamental sports, that's fundamental basketball right now because the 3-point shot has taken over the league.
But I'm so tired of people saying James Harden is amazing. James Harden is this. James Harden is a scorer and nothing else. He's not going to hit a clutch shot for you. He's not going to do anything. You know what? I said he'll earn his rings in the nightclub, not on the court.
Oh, yeah.
So,
NBA playoffs. It's definitely something we'll definitely talk a lot about that tomorrow as well. Real quick before third period gets underway here in Pittsburgh, what are your thoughts, real quick, on some of the NFL stuff that's come out? Now, we know the 5 international games. By the way, the Giants got a gift that they have to take on the Packers in Green Bay. Just to say that from a Giants perspective, they don't have to go to Lambeau Field.
Yeah.
I also feel, at the same time, though, I do feel bad for Green Bay fans because that is pretty sad that, a Giant Packer matchup, even though it was only going to be in October, got taken off the schedule. But the Giants did catch a break there. That now, they probably still won't win that game, but now they don't have to worry about playing them in Lambeau, so they might have a little bit of a chance. But between the international games and the 2 Monday night, we know the Monday night week 2 doubleheader on Monday Night Football. and the full schedule release comes out on Thursday, Nick.
So what's the point of having a schedule release day if you're just going to start leaking games out, especially Buck and Aikman being the two guys that released the doubleheader for Monday night in week 2? What's the point of having a schedule release?
Well, they've been doing that the last couple of years. They have been leaking. They have been, little by little leaking some things out, but we still don't know totally the full thing. And you know what? It's the NFL. They can get away with stuff like this. Think about it. What other sport could have a schedule release like this and it'd be exciting? Baseball releases their schedule for the following season while the current season is in progress.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Like,
I think
we'll know the 2023 schedule for baseball in August of this season.
They don't let the storylines play out. It's before the playoffs.
Do you want? No, they've been doing this for a while, so I can't say it.
No, but I'm just saying, like, you're releasing it before the storylines have a chance to play out in the playoffs. I mean,
that's baseball. I wanted to say what I wanted to say, but then I realized, they've been doing this before. Manfred,
as they just come out of commercial too.
Yeah, they're about to start the third period, but no, I was gonna try and make another good old Rob Manfred moment, but I realized
I told you they were gonna pull him. I told you.
Well, so they did pull Circuit.
I told you they were gonna pull him.
Not his fault, but at the same time, you couldn't understand. But yeah, I was gonna say good old Manfred, but at the same time, they've been doing this before Manfred.
Oh my gosh, this is gonna be mean. There's an image of him. He's just standing on the bench, cap on. He's like. That's gonna be meme too. It's like,
but
I might just hang out since it's a blowout at this point.
Yeah, might as well. Why not? It's third period. Let's have a three-way action. Absolutely.
Let's see them make things interesting just for the hell of it. And they're gonna tease me, score a few goals, and still find a way. This team.
We'll try to find a way to make this exciting, even if it's not.
Yeah, might as well turn lemons into lemonade.
When we get Nick's first bit of action.
Sorry, I'm just too shell shocked and you could.
Oh no, I'm shocked too to see 8 goals in a game too.
Nick, now you've seen why I call this my disease.
Oh no, I get it. For me, it's the Nets.
Yeah, this team for me,
Let's see, which one is worse as a disease? Your anger for the Rangers or mine for the Nets?
Maybe yours for the Nets, just barely, because the Nets
Yeah, that's close.
I don't know.
I don't think you would have made the statement opposite of what I would have said, where I said I was so mad I become a Knicks fan. There's no way you would say I become an Islander fan.
Oh, never. No, never. Me being an Islander fan, can I just can I quote the nanny on you guys?
Yes.
It starts with an N, ends in an A. Never.
You know what though? I think Nick's thing makes a little bit more sense though, because I don't I'll say this as a Knicks fan. I don't consider the Nets to be the biggest rival of the Knicks, where the Rangers' biggest rival is the Islanders.
No, I would say it's either the Islanders, the Devils, or the Flyers, but they're up there.
Yeah, no, I think the Rangers' biggest rivalry is the Islanders, and I think the Knicks' biggest rivalry, to be honest with you, I say this as a Knicks fan, I don't think it's the Nets. I think of it. I think more the Celtics. I even think, and I understand this was almost like another NBA ago, but the Miami Heat to me are a bigger rival to the Knicks. I mean, back in the day, the Pacers were a bigger rival to me than the Nets.
Well, the Dwayne Wade, Shaq, Alonzo Mourning Heat were a big rival of.
Yeah, well, the Alonzo Mourning, Pat Riley Heat, absolutely in the '90s with Tim Hardaway as well. Those were some epic series down there. Oh, those are the good old days. I'm hoping. Hey, look, let's hope that in 2023.
Well, hey, let me just show you again what I did to my new room that I've moved into.
This is the tour part of the action.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, draft will be NBA draft will be interesting.
You can see I've got a Rangers bedspread on there, and I've got my Yankees blanket underneath, and I got the Jeter jersey hanging up there. So
you're as New York as it gets.
Hey,
well, I think we all are.
Yeah, we all are to degree. By the way, it looks like the Rangers got a penalty here.
I mean,
of course they did.
I live and die by this team. I go to 30 games, at least 20, 30 games a year, and then and then I watch every single bit of the playoffs. And look, I'm used to this. I've been let down. I've been let down many a time since 2006. So
let me ask a question. What are the odds? Because we've seen it in the NBA quite a few times now. We've seen it in MLB once, and I don't think we want to talk about that one series, but the massive comeback.
Let's not. That gives me. I get PTSD just thinking about. Let's not.
So what are the odds in hockey of being down 3-1 and winning a series?
It's happened before. I remember the Rangers did it in 2014 and 2015. So I wouldn't say it's out of the question. I mean, look, I'll go to game 5 and somehow they'll find a way to win. And like, I'll probably be happy if they win that.
They'll get your hopes up.
But I'm just going to be like, I don't know how I'm going to feel if I go to game 5 and they win. But like, it's going to be such a tease if I do. I'll say that.
Watch, you'll make it to game 7 and then all that energy wasted.
Imagine. Yeah, when COVID happened 2 years ago, if I had to see a replay of the 04 ALCS, I was going to have a heart attack.
Oh God, I can't. That series, like,
what's
Hank
sad
said,
though is I can't say that 4 Days in October was a bad documentary because it actually was well done, and I hate by friggin' Bill Simmons.
Yeah,
I hate Bill Simmons.
It's just, you know what it is? That to me is, and I could say, and I don't know why I have a debate with Met fans about this. That 04 ALCS is the worst collapse in the history of sports.
Because it was historic. You'll never see another 3-0 comeback like that.
And if you really wanted to dig into the details, which I know we shouldn't really do,
blame Dave Roberts.
Well, think about it. It's not only the 3-0, collapse. It's how it happened too. The best closer in the history of baseball blows 2 saves, even though the second one really wasn't his fault.
It was the same thing. Dave Roberts.
Johnny.
Yeah.
So I gave you my hot take that I think that the 2001 World Series was the worst loss in Yankee history, and the reason I say that is because what happened to that led to 04.
That 01 season absolutely, it changed the Yankees forever.
I'm not going to get into detail about that, but we pretty much have the same thoughts on that. However, the next hot take I have about that series, the real turning point of the 04 ALCS wasn't the 9th inning of Game 4. That might shock you that I'm saying.
I think I know where you're going with it, but let's see if you and I agree.
It was when Hideki Matsui came up with the bases loaded, hits that fly ball, Trot Nixon just catches it. If he misses that ball, 2 or 3 runs score, it's game over.
Oh, see, I wasn't going there.
I think it was, I can't remember. It was either the 5th or the 6th inning when he hit that fly ball.
Oh, I wasn't even thinking about that. Okay.
Matsui hit it like right on the screws too. It was about as hard a hit of a ball as he could have hit. But then Trot Nixon was like right there. And then the other one I would say was, I want to say it was the top of the 7th or the top of the 8th. There's a runner on third. A-Rod comes up.
That's it. That's the one. 8th inning of game. That's it, Hank. 8th inning of Game 5. Runner at third, 1 out. A-Rod's up, and he can't get the run in. It was 4-2.
Yep.
Jeter bunted. I think it was Cairo.
Yes.
Third.
Well,
he pointed to A-Rod to get him in, and he couldn't get the job done. That's funny.
I say I get PTSD, but yet I can remember that series better than what I had.
There we go. Another breakaway save. By the way, just back to this game for 1 second. They showed a stat also: 15 blocked shots for the Penguins, 6 for the Rangers.
Damn.
I mean, it's the game. The numbers are speaking for itself. I mean, we're watching it right here, and I mean, it's the block shots, the face-off wins, and now here we go again. Penguins coming in. But yeah, no, I mean, to me, that series, that's really the turning point. The Game 5, runner at third, less than 2 out. You get another run there, it's 5-2. And then before you blink, it's 4-3, and then 2 runners come on, and yeah, that's to me still the worst collapse in sports. It's not. It's just given all the angles and everything of it, but yeah, unfortunately, folks, it's now become one of those nights where we just talk about depressing things, collapses.
But like I said,
the fact that my Knicks are still one of the worst teams in sports in the 21st century. I mean, come on, it's not even an argument. I mean, they've had one. I mean, I'll give you last season, but they've had one good season in the 21st century.
Let me move my.
And that was the 12-13 season when they made it to the second round against the Celtics.
You can thank J.R. Smith for being a buffoon for them not going any further.
Absolutely. That was it.
Him and his tank.
By the way, congratulations to JR for graduating. That was
good golfer
he
too.
Graduated, yeah, good for him.
Yeah, no, it looks like he's done some good things.
As the game went into a commercial break, as we're talking here.
12 minutes to go here in the third. It's 6-2 Pittsburgh.
See, these are the duds when you're in a blowout and you're just like, what the hell do I do to cover the time?
Yeah, this one happened so quick too that I mean, at least they gave us a period and a half.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure we'll have other games to look at.
Yeah, I know you're going to want to get into. I was saying that this is just the first one of our watch-alongs that we'll have here on the Empty the Bench podcast network. I'm sure Empty the Bench will probably have one down the road. We'll mix and match as.
We're talking about doing some Yankee Mets. Maybe we'll get some Met fans on here. We'll do a Yankee Mets game.
Hey, the way things are looking, that series in July and August is going to be huge. I'm looking forward to that. The best pitching matchup in baseball in July and August.
By the way,
Tyler McGill against Nestor Cortez.
Who the hell would have thought that was going to be the best matchup in baseball?
Although Garrett Cole, though, has turned it around. We were talking about him on the show.
You mean when Garrett Cole doesn't give up the long ball?
Yeah.
Reminds me of Mark Pryor back in the day where he would just strike out a bunch of batters, but he would give up like 30 to 35 home runs a year.
God, Mark Pryor. Wow.
I know. I just totally just made all of us feel old right there.
Well, look at, 2004, freaking 18 years ago. It's nuts to think about that. In fact, we're coming up on, we want to talk about a great Yankee moment, but we're coming up on almost the 20-year anniversary of Jason Giambi's walk-off grand slam against the Twins.
Wait, was that the snow game or the rain game? Whatever it was.
The rain one. Yeah, that was the one in the.
No, the snow game was when Hideki Matsui hit the grand slam in 2003.
Oh, right. The Giambi was the rain game. I think.
And then the other snow game was opening day of '96 when Andy Pettitte did well.
That was sick. That was like a lot of snow too. Like if I remember correctly,
it was like flurrying.
Didn't some part of New York actually get some snow over the weekend?
Yes.
Because I know you guys had a mess up there because that's why the Yankees and the Met games, 2 of them were postponed on back-to-back
Well, they had
days.
rain. It was all rain in the city.
But I'm saying, that was that same system that to the west of you, like in the middle part of the state, actually had some snow.
Yeah, it was. There was some snow.
Wow. Wild.
Hey, it's global warming at its finest.
It's just, then you guys in a couple of weeks, it'll be 90. Well, I mean, it was 80 here a couple of days ago.
It's supposed to be 74 on Friday.
Yeah, it's just wild. By the way, nice save by Georgiev.
Can we just make this respectable at this point?
Well, unfortunately, this third period, a lot of time once again is being spent in the Rangers zone. So things have really not been changing all that much. Yeah, nice save there by Georgiev. But look at this, another great pass to Kapanen this time for the Penguins, but another great cross ice pass. It's an amazing the amount of rushes and not really just 2-on-1s and long passes that the Penguins are able to make in this game. But between the block shots, the face-off wins, I mean, right now the Penguins are out shooting the Rangers 37-22.
It sounds about right. James Dolan overspending and getting no quality back in return.
Well, this is not Dolan. This is and the Rangers are not overspending. I mean, this is the second youngest team in the playoffs right now.
No, the Rangers are a better run team than the Knicks.
Absolutely. And you know why? Because Dolan stays away from the Rangers.
Yeah, well, okay, that's not entirely true. Again, remember, they got rid of the GM and the president and the coach last year. Didn't
they get rid of Sather and Grunfeld or I thought they got rid of
No, Sather's still with the Rangers, unfortunately. I don't know why that guy hasn't Okay, I'm not going to say it, but you know where I'm. You know what
It should be gone.
Oh,
that guy probably should have been put in a retirement home a long time ago. Like, he made some good moves with the Rangers, but if you really think about it, if he's been there for that long and they haven't won a cup, like, are we really sure Sather was that great? I don't think so.
You still have to blame that on Dolan.
Let me ask you this question, because this is what I ask my fellow Ranger fans this. That lockout does not happen in 04-05. Whatever happens to this organization?
Oh,
because the Rangers don't become one of the most consistent teams in the league without that lockout.
Sather probably just continues running it into the ground. He literally like spent money like a drunken sailor because there was no cap. And you know, it's funny, he infamously was the one that said, "Oh, if I ever become the Rangers GM, we'll pretty much win cups every year because of that payroll."
Why do all New York teams think that as a GM or as ownership, like, we're going to win every year if we spend? And then they realize like that mistake when they say that, like, oh, sorry, didn't mean it.
You know what the thing is, and this really goes to all New York teams. The idea of having just spend to me is just like
it's not the answer.
It's not the answer. You know, it's spending wisely. That's really what it is. It's not just about spending; it's spending wisely.
Well, I think the rest of the leagues complain that MLB basically has a blank check to write whatever it wants.
Yeah, but everybody talks about, like, you know, the Yankees buying championships. First of all, the only thing that the Yankees that does back in the day with the Yankees is it just gives them a better chance to win. It doesn't mean they're going to win.
Well, that's the problem. Everyone assumes everything before it actually is done on the field or on the court.
Everybody was complaining about that 06 Yankee team that was stacked 1 through 9 in the lineup, and they lost in the first round of the Tigers.
Yeah, well, Tigers were a much better team in 06 than they were now. But
by the way, I mean, that's just sort of they're calling up another young. I mean, they're playing their kids down up there in Detroit. They're not worried about the whole service time thing and everything.
Well, they got Baez. They signed him to a ridiculous contract. That made no sense of a fit.
Yeah, that one's a little strange. But you know what? I mean, they've got this young kid Torkelson. They've got a good young pitching staff. I mean, they're going to be fun to watch.
I think the Tigers will improve. I know they got off to a rough start.
By the way, the Penguins almost scored again.
It's unbelievable. I mean, it's like this. It's been like this for most of the game.
Really, and see, this is another thing I can't stand about the playoffs. When there's a blowout, why the commercial breaks? Why must you stay on the structure of the commercial?
They need to
it's hockey.
Money.
Well, it's not about hockey. I mean, they do this, you know, for breaks as well. I mean, it's at the 13-minute mark, the 9 and the 5. So, I mean that. No, it's.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying, but
when you're in a blowout, like you got to move the game along.
Now,
like,
to be fair, though, I will say this: in overtime, it's a lot of this. Not at the NBA, but they do this in football too. When it comes to overtime, they just play straight through. That's
how it should be.
Otherwise, the Ranger game in Game 1 would have went past midnight.
And I could get into hockey if they played this fast. I would. If they played this fast all the time.
Yeah, the only thing you would have to be worried about would be like if teams would ice the puck every 10 seconds. That would be the only thing, because that stops it. But what they do now, they changed this rule a few years back, is whenever a team ices the puck, they actually don't go to commercial break.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Okay. But why they do that, though, is because they think the team that ices the puck would actually gain an advantage by going to commercial. They really are supposed to be punished for icing it, because they're not allowed to change lines when they commit an icing. So, you know, if you went to commercial break, that'd be like the equivalent of having a timeout.
But did you see what they're doing in the USFL now, that they're actually not going to stop the clock on incompletions?
Well, that's interesting.
Well, because they're saying that if you constantly have to stop the clock for every incompletion, look at the NFL. How much time are we wasting with incompletions?
Well, you notice what yeah, I get why that is. I mean, it makes sense, but you know, that's like That's like college. They temporarily stop the clock in college football whenever there's a first down. And I get it because they're college kids. You want to build them up and stuff. But
I still think it's dumb that they have the 1 foot rule in college football.
yeah, I mean, I don't really have that much of a problem with it. By the way, the Capitals just scored, and they were up 2-1 midway through the third period in Washington as they're trying to go up 3-1 against the Panthers. So we will keep an eye on that as well, since that's actually a close competitive game, unlike right now. So let's take a look at it. Just showing a replay, and I'm trying to see. Oh, it's Kuznetsov that scored for
Kuzi.
the Capitals. Capitals have lost in the first round in 3 straight seasons, and the last playoff series win for the Panthers, 1996.
My birth year.
Ouch.
My birth year.
Wow.
God, I was 3 years old.
I was 6.
Well, actually,
96 was a pretty cool year.
My birthday's in July.
Well, and the Penguins just scored again. So now touchdown and the extra point is good. And that's Malkin, by the way. It's 7-2.
Jesus. You know what?
That's Malkin.
Wait, I'm going to do it. The Rangers deserve this.
Well, tonight they do. Now, see, tonight they do, but overall they don't. Let's see what happens here.
I think, wait a minute. I think we broke Hank.
You said that Malkin scored. That was the icing on the cake right there. By the way, beautiful pass, and Keandre Miller's just standing there.
Put me out of my misery. Like, I'll go to the game. Just put me out of my misery.
Nick, you may need to be on standby for the show tomorrow.
Oh, jeez.
Especially considering we're going to start with the Rangers tomorrow. It might not be pretty. Well, folks, that's a nice tease. Tune in tomorrow to see if Hank survives. We'll just give him the floor. By the way, that's the 66th career playoff goal for Malkin in what could be his final run in Pittsburgh.
That's all right. I think Pittsburgh fans are a bunch of assholes anyway.
Well, and I have a roommate who is going to be rubbing it in my face for the next few months.
What has Pittsburgh won in any other sport? I want to hear this.
Steelers.
Well, okay. No, but I'm saying as of late.
Yeah, Steelers of 08 are the only other ones. The Pirates have been owned by Bob Nutting, so they're not going to. Bob Nutting's almost as bad as the Castellinis.
Yeah, and the only and by the way, there's a penalty on the Rangers. So now,
but that's the only reason why he's rooting hard.
6:40 to go in the third period. Here, folks, you are watching the ETB Network's Stanley Cup Playoff Watch-Along Party, which right now is taking a interesting turn here. We got Nick Morganson with us to try and drag us through the last bit as the Penguins have just blown this thing wide open. It is 7-2 Penguins here in the third. Tomorrow's Wednesday's a new day, but Nick's with us here. Well, at least the good thing though is we won't have to worry about, unless barring a miracle, we won't have to worry about going to triple overtime tonight.
Oh God, I couldn't take that.
Well, we were talking about what would we discuss if we got to overtime and stuff like that, but be a good first test. But so it's 7-2. What's funny? You're talking about Pittsburgh for a second, and I was saying, well, they haven't played basketball, but if you've ever played NBA 2K, Nick, you would know this. So in the franchise mode, you can actually play with 36 teams.
Well, by the way, you guys, look on the bright side. At least I'm not going to pull anything crazy like Frank the Tank, that loud ass Mets fan would do whenever the Mets lose.
By the way, he's a Met, a Net, and a Ranger fan.
No, he's a Devils fan.
Or is he a Devils fan? Oh, right, he's a Devil fan, right? But he's a Met and a Net fan.
Yeah.
Think about that one for a second.
No, that's the only thing that I don't get out of that is the Devils part.
Because he's from New Jersey.
Okay, so the New Jersey Nets, yep, and then Matt.
He lives in New Jersey.
Yeah, he does live in New Jersey.
So then the Mets thing would be the most interesting thing and all that.
I interviewed him, so I should know.
Yeah, Nick, I have to go back to the Beyond the Bench show, a couple of shows back, and a couple of months ago. It was actually while the lockout was still happening, and very good interview. You got to check that out with Frank.
Who have you interviewed that who do I not know? Do I know that you haven't interviewed?
Hey, I try. I just reach out there. That's what I tell Johnny, and same thing to you. I say just anyone who has an email on their Twitter account, just email them. That's what I tell people. That's how I got Frank the Tank by DMing him on Twitter. First of all, he's got open DMs, which is rare because at Barstool no one has open DMs.
Yeah, no. One of these days, I'm considering getting Carabas for hitting for the cycle.
He's not at Barstool anymore. He's now at
no, I know, but he's a name that I've been thinking of.
He's definitely good with the baseball. I'll give you that.
By the way, what was with Barstool going after Rizzo, LeMahieu, and Judge for being at the Ranger game and the fact that they were chugging a beer down?
That's Barstool in a nutshell for you.
I know. I'm like, come on, guys, really? I mean,
I like Barstool, but sometimes they pick their weird moments to do things.
But I mean, if you're trying to take a cheap shot at the Yankees for something like that is so ridiculous. I mean,
first of all, any team would go and represent their fellow teams.
Absolutely.
Not even if they're not from New York, you still represent as part of another New York team. It doesn't matter.
That was one of the coolest things. That was at game 1. So Hank, you were there. You saw that, right? Or was it 2?
That was game 2.
That was game 2. I'm losing my.
I thought that was cool. I was giving them a standing ovation. In fact, I thought what they did was talent, but that's because yours truly likes a good beer. I mean, look, I just Budweiser.
I know. I was thinking about going to some
I'm probably going to have to get a Mike's Hard or a Twisted after this game.
Tune in tomorrow to see if Hank makes it to episode 9.
I'll be there. I promise.
I know you will, and we'll give you the floor.
You know, I love this team. And like I said, this is nothing new for me. Again, I'm not you don't see me have hissy fits like Frank the Tank, but you do see me get emotional.
You know what though? It's okay to because you care. That's really what it is.
You know what? You should call Brian.
There's a difference between being emotional and being Frank the Tank.
Speaking of which, did Brian ever get his voice back?
I don't know. Maybe Ursula the Sea Witch told him the spell was over and gave him the voice just like she did with
And he probably lost it. If he got it back, he probably lost it tonight.
You should call Brian and be like, "Are you around? We need to go yell about the Rangers."
By the way, real quick as we go around here, 5 minutes to go in the third period. Capitals lead the Panthers 2-1, and then back in the NBA, end of 3 in Milwaukee, it's the Bucks over the Celtics, 80-73.
As there's a drive into deep left field by Castellanos. Make a 4-0 ball game.
You know what? I'll pull it out anyway.
RELAX.
Hey, speaking of crazy baseball things, real quick, our good old beloved Cincinnati Reds are ahead of the Milwaukee Brewers. Believe it or not, the Reds are over the Brewers right now, 7-5 after bottom 7 in Cincinnati. So the 4-win Reds looking to upset the Brewers.
Go ahead and go ask Bill Belichick. They're off to Cincinnati.
Oh.
That joke will never live down in infamy. That press conference will always.
That is the best.
Man. Hey, at least we have 2 baseball teams we can root for.
Hey, they'll give us something to talk about this summer.
Who would have?
I think the future, but like I was saying on Game On last Tuesday, the future of New York sports, I think, or I was saying I think on one of my ETB Sportsmen about the future of New York sports. It looks to be quite positive because now the Rangers, even though if they don't win this series, are ahead of schedule. I think the Knicks can bounce back and be a playoff team next year. The Nets are still going to be a playoff team, even though they've got all their situation. And the Mets and the Yankees have the potential to really be good, both of them this year, and at least compete. And the football teams, even though they may not be, record-wise good, I think they're going to be relevant because you want to see the development of the quarterbacks and all these young players they brought in. So I think that we're going to have a lot to talk about in New York sports, even in the summer months here.
By the way, this tells you how pathetic this game is, that we've gone around the gamut of the sports world while watching this game.
Well, it could be a little bonus game on if we don't get to the baseball tomorrow, because I'm sure we'll spend a good amount of time on this. By the way, our plan for tomorrow's show, 3 p.m. Eastern here on the Empty the Bench Podcast Network. We got the obviously we'll talk a lot about this Ranger game, react to it. Give it about 16 hours after the conclusion of this one. So we'll get into that. We'll get into the series, the NBA, a lot of crazy things in the NBA, and then also we have to talk about, and we will tomorrow, the Kentucky Derby, because what happened Saturday right before Game 3 of the Rangers series was just so incredible in so many ways. So we will get into that tomorrow. That's 3 p.m. Eastern, episode 9, as we are down to, mercifully, the last 2.5 minutes here of Game 4. Penguins are still up 7-2.
I'm ready for this game to end. I can't.
I would just say, anyone who's a Pittsburgh fan, this is the only team you can lean on at this point. I wouldn't lean on the Steelers. I wouldn't lean on the Pirates.
No. That's what I was saying too. If you play the NBA 2K League, if you do franchise mode, you can do 36. There's an option that you can actually do 36 teams, and you can have 6 expanded teams, and one of them is a Pittsburgh-based team. And the colors are exactly like all the Pittsburgh teams. I forget what they're called. I forget what it's called, but I did it one year. I actually did the expansions, and it was actually pretty cool because the court colors they have for all these other teams are special.
Wow, the Rangers are not even trying.
This third period was also all Pittsburgh.
No, but they're just slapping the puck around. They're not even trying.
Now you're just dragging. Now you're just dragging out the last 90 seconds here.
But why not try to score?
7-3, I guess. No, I was going to say for gamblers' sakes, but the over/under on this game was 6, and the Penguins have 7 themselves.
Well, whoever bet on the Rangers lost a lot of money on the spread. So
nope. Thank goodness I didn't.
I bet verbally, not.
Okay, well then in that case, yes, I did lose.
Yeah. A lot of my bets are verbal, and that's how it should be. It's funny because the Kentucky Derby really was the thing that started all this gambling stuff, and then now it's like, and then football's done it, and now it's gone to all these sports.
Yeah, really.
I mean, I never even knew there was an over/under in hockey.
Didn't know that?
Well, I mean, maybe they have, but it's just not really shown. But now in this day and age where, they seem to talk about everything, like all these shows, all these, sports networks have a gambling show. Of course, they tell you to do it responsibly, but they still tell you nevertheless.
Yeah, well, I think we've seen more gambling commercials on sports networks than ever in life. This game is basically over, though.
It is. There's 5 seconds left, and that will do it. So you can put it down in the graphic, Nate. That is a final. Penguins win 7-2, and they now lead the series 3-1. And Game 5 will be to Wednesday night. They used to do back-to-backs in hockey, but now it's every other day. So Game 3 will be Wednesday at 7 p.m. at MMSG. So
my question would be, though, before you go, is Hank, what are you thinking here as in the Rangers locker room after this blowout?
They're probably going to be. I don't think they're going to be getting the lashing. I think they're just going to use this as a learning experience, regardless of what happens tomorrow. But it's not going to be pretty. I'm thinking they'll probably be supporting Igor, doing whatever they can. They owe Igor a big apology for sure.
Yeah, let's be honest here. I can tell you right now my initial thoughts on this game. This is not on Igor. I know this is the second straight game that he got pulled, but I mean, how many? You don't win faceoffs. You don't pressure the Penguins at all. I mean, the Penguins were able to walk in like it was nothing and have odd man chance against odd man chance. And I mean, really, the Rangers, we talked about the Rangers getting off to a strong start, and really the best part of their game was the first 10 minutes. And then after that, it was really all Penguins.
Yeah, that was brutal. Totally brutal.
I mean, I'm glad we were be on the air tonight. I mean, it helped a little bit to get distracted because this was this was a tough one.
Yeah, I mean, when you lose 7-2 in any sport, that's bad.
Well, not only that, 7-2 after really being down 4-1 in game 3.
There was no momentum in this game, period, though.
No, the Rangers had it the first 10 minutes. And by the way, why Louis Dominguez getting a star of the game, I don't get, but that's just me.
Well,
Probably had enough pork and broccoli to get that one.
The Penguins scored 7 goals tonight. The Rangers only had 24 shots. I mean, why Louis Dominguez getting it? I'm not trying to be mean here, but you score 7 goals and your starting goaltender only makes 22 saves. I mean, he only faces 24 shots. He doesn't need to be a star of the game. I think that's more of a troll. By the way, the Panthers just scored, so it is tied at 2 in DC with 1:10 to go. So I just switched channels real quick. They're on TBS right now, so that game is tied up at 2.
I think
if you want to at least get excited a little bit, Nick, I'd say once we get off here, put on TBS. Unless there's something crazy that happens here the next minute, that game is going to be going to overtime.
Oh wow!
And then also in the association, the Bucks are up by 2 over the Celtics early fourth quarter. So we could have a little bit of drama in 2 games at least. And if you want to just be a sports fan and need to take your mind off the Rangers for a few hours, which, let's be honest, Hank and I both need to get distracted for a little bit here before we rant and rave on them on the show tomorrow. You got a couple of good ones there. So,
oh man, tomorrow's going to be fun.
Yeah. So let me just real quick before we get out of here, big show game on episode 9 coming up tomorrow. Obviously, we'll be all over the Rangers and the Penguins. We'll get into also the Stanley Cup playoffs in general. We also will get into the NBA playoffs, which have now been absolutely crazy. Also, the big news regarding Morant officially being out, Steve Kerr with COVID, all these injuries that are happening in the NBA playoffs, which are really altered series. Joel Embiid coming back, which now all of a sudden gives the 76ers new life. So definitely a lot of NBA to get into. And of course, like I said, Rich Strike making people very rich, or whoever bet on him in the Kentucky Derby, the second longest shot in the history of the race to win. And really just goes more than just that. I mean, Rich Strike wasn't even entered into the race until Friday morning. So we'll get into that. And anything else that breaks between now and then, that comes up on episode 9 of Game On, presented by Knack, Tuesday, 3 p.m. Eastern, here on the Empty the Bench Podcast Network. Hank, you got any final thoughts, my friend, before we call it a night? I know it's tough, but
if they're going to lose this series, just don't lose at the Garden.
It's a good call.
The Garden.
If you lose in front of your own fans, that's bad.
It's difficult. I mean,
I've been at a few Yankees elimination games, so yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, I was at a few Ranger playoff games where they lost at home, series-ending losses at home. It's difficult, but I think this one's a little bit tougher because what would make this tough to me is the fact that, and it's not necessarily because of him, but you look at the Penguins doing this with a third-string goaltender, but when you're not playing well in front of your own goaltender, it makes your regular goaltender look third string too. So
yeah,
we'll get into that a lot more. But our first watch along is in the books, and I think that went all right considering how it all worked out.
We'll get to do more. Like we said, we're going to probably do a Yankees-Mets game. We're going to try and find some Met fans to go up against to do a little walk along with.
And you know what I would say, folks? Keep it locked in here. Follow our social media accounts because this could happen at any time on any of our platforms. So right there on the bottom of your screen, Game On ETB on Twitter, Facebook.com/GameOnETB, and Instagram, GameOn_ETB. Presented by Knack. Thanks again for Knack for sponsoring us. So for Hank Indictor and Nick Morganson joining us as well, I'm Johnny Montalbano. And we'll see you tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern for episode 9 of Game On.
Good night, everybody.